glasses. Go to physioextra.com for more.
Colleagues are paying tribute to former Labor leader Simon Crean, who's died suddenly at the age of 74. More from Gail Watson.
Simon Crean was a key figure within the union movement and the Labor Party for 4 decades. He held the Victorian federal seat of Hotham from 1990 to 2013. He was a cabinet minister in the Hawke, Keating, Rudd and Gillard governments and led the party from 2001 to 2003 while in opposition. In a statement, his family say that Simon died suddenly after his morning exercise. He was in Berlin as part of an industry delegation. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Mr Crean was a great servant to the Labor movement and a wonderful human being. Simon Crean was 74.
Support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament continues to tumble. The move only has the backing of 43% of people, according to the latest news poll. 47% reject the advisory body being enshrined in the Constitution. A referendum on the issue is slated for later this year. With cost of living pressures continuing to cause havoc on the family budget, we're being advised to shop around when it comes to health insurance. CEO of the Members Health Fund Alliance, Matthew Koch, says many Aussies are turning to not-for-profit or member-owned health funds.
And we're also growing with younger people, which is really good to see because they're seeing the value that comes from health insurance and being with a not-for-profit member-owned health fund.
And thousands of people will be hit by the Medicare levy surcharge from Saturday. Emergency crews are keeping a close eye on 2 SA dams at high risk of failure following a week of heavy rain. One's at Hope Forest and the other at Basket Range on Lobethal Road. Roads in the area have been closed and property owners at risk notified. The first funeral for victims of the New South Wales Hunter Valley bus crash will be held this morning. A close friend of the groom, 28-year-old Angus Craig, will be farewelled. It comes as a sellout charity concert was held last night to raise funds for accommodation and travel costs for those who survived. Sarah Ferguson has been treated for breast cancer at a London hospital. The Duchess of York has undergone surgery and will now recover at home with her family. Doctors say her prognosis is good. And the Princess of Wales has kept up with tennis champion Roger Federer at the Ball Boys and Girls Training Facility ahead of Wimbledon.
Good catch.
Are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, are you allowed to do that? That's good.
In Australia they would catch it, but here in Wimbledon they don't.
Yeah, you're not meant to catch it, you're meant to let it bout and then get it, but good catch.
Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Good morning, Tom.
And a very good morning to you as well, Kendall. Let's start with footy. Collingwood has pulled off another remarkable victory, beating Adelaide by 2 points at the MCG. It is the 11th time in the past 2 seasons the Magpies have won after trailing at three-quarter time. Pies coach Craig McRae says he was proud of how many players stood up when the game was in the balance.
Heard it all before, I suppose. We just want to win. There's a great will to win. There's a number of players that just don't want to give up. Good method. Went back to basics, really. Like in the last quarter, went back to the team we want to be. We couldn't get inside 50 in the third quarter through good pressure and turnovers and the like, and just went back to basics.
One other game to wrap up the round last night with Gold Coast too good for Hawthorn, winning by 67 points to keep their finals hopes alive. Let's go to cricket, and Australia is on top heading into the final day of the Women's Ashes Test against England at Trent Bridge. The home side will resume its second innings at 5 for 116, still needing a further 152 runs to win. Let's go to tennis, and Aussie Alex de Minaur has gone down in the final of the Queen's Club Championships to Carlos Alcaraz, the number 1 seed, taking out the match 6-4, 6-4. And the Adelaide Thunderbirds will get to enjoy a week off after advancing straight to the grand final of the Suncorp Super Netball competition. The New South Wales Swifts will now take on the West Coast FIVEAA in the prelim final. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now the FIVEAA forecast.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automasters technician.
A shower or two and 16 today, a shower or two tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15. Then a shower or two for Thursday, down to 14. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
FIVEAA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
6:05, good morning to you on this Monday morning. Morning to you, David. I just normally I do a wheel and run through the show, but I had my own intro then, and we're both thoroughly surprised by it.
What about that? That maybe this is how rumours start, Luce. When you've got your own intro in radio, it suggests a degree of permanence. So Will might have taken the fatal error of disappearing on holidays, and you come in with your own little, what do they call them, a sting?
I think that was just our sweeper, our intro sweeper.
Yeah, there's all these radio terms that I'm not really across. I've only been doing the job for, 9
nearly
years.
A decade. That's all right.
Jeez, it is almost a decade, isn't it?
Welcome to Monday.
Welcome to Monday.
Yeah, Will is, of course, on holidays for the next 2 weeks. I've got you for a week and then you're off for 2 weeks.
And it's not that Will has scarpered. Will has taken holidays as specified by the annual calendar that everybody in radio uses. I'm the one who is stuffing things around by working an extra week so that my holidays line up with school holidays and get away with the kids, because it's one of these things. It's quite weird. Like, it's a bit of an example of like head office mentality, and that's certainly not a knock on my beloved parent company Nova Entertainment. Very happy working for them.
Our management, yep.
It's the way the radio industry in Australia structures its so-called ratings and non-ratings period, where they devise the breaks in the eastern states based on their school holidays. So what that means is that out here in the cheap seats, in the boondocks, in the provinces in South Australia, because our holidays don't line up with theirs, we very rarely get an annual break in the middle of the year that coincides with school holidays. And I've spoken to a lot of other people in radio about it. Other people, it seems to be a bit of a radio thing, having lots of kids. Certainly I've got 4. I haven't got as many as Mark Rashudo, but I know that it drives him mad. And Ali Clark as well. She's
That's all right. That's why they get the B team in the non-ratings
Oh,
period.
now
So I keep that close to my chest, which is nice. And I also have no kids, so they can call me up.
Well, there's plenty of time for that, Lucy. You don't want to rush these things. But no, we were just chatting off air. So we did the show
end of October last year. It was
when the miracle of Rosie happened.
October the 22nd, Thursday. Got the call up at 4 a.m.
That's right. What about that? And I just wandered in like it was any other day and went, oh, that's funny, Will's not here.
Will's wife must be having a baby today.
So, Lucy, you're someone who struggles emotionally with sport. Do you just...
I love it. We get the band back together and we go straight to the Crows.
It's kind of hard to avoid after yesterday.
I struggle emotionally with tennis, and I'll make this quick so you can launch into the Crows. Alex de Minaur lost overnight to Carlos Alcaraz. He's the first Australian to make the Queen's lawn tennis final Alex de Minaur since 2006, and he went down to Carlos Alcaraz devastatingly. So I'm pretty emotionally upset about that. But go ahead with the Crows. I know you want to.
Were you watching the tennis live?
No, I wasn't. It was overnight. The one issue I have with watching sport this weekend was the Crows was on delay on Channel 7.
Yeah, which is annoying.
We had set aside Sunday afternoon, cold, wintry, to watch the Crows, and it was delayed.
So when things are delayed these days, it's very hard to avoid knowing what's really going on. So were you looking on websites, on Twitter?
Yeah, right. Once it's delayed, I still want to know the score. So I followed it live online. No. And I wish I hadn't.
Oh, so you were sitting there at home waiting for the fateful ending.
Mm.
How long was it delayed by? Half an hour?
So the match ended, the game ended, I should say, and pretty well immediately it was on TV.
Yeah, oh, okay, so it was right at the very end.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, I just wish I didn't care as much. And the thing is, having said that, I don't care as much as a hell of a lot of people. Will wrote a really good tweet about it, I thought, which is something along the lines of the fact, in a perverse way, the fact that this hurts so bleeping much shows how good the club is getting, how good this team is getting.
I think as well, because I was at Adelaide Oval when Collingwood beat them by 1 point only a few rounds ago. And even watching it last night.
It's like a recurring nightmare, isn't it?
I know. I was like, oh my God, it's the film I don't like, Groundhog Day, but with the Crows.
How many stars did you give that again? 3? 2.
The list of...
I'd give this game about 0.5. Oh, no, actually, if you could... Mates of mine who don't barrack for either the Crows or Collingwood were texting me after the game going, that's one of the best games of the year, and I'm like, shut up.
It should have been Friday night footy.
Well...
The quality, the outcome was not so fun.
Don't get me started. I'll tell you what, I actually took a screenshot this bloke, some Victorian guy. Where is it? This just shows how far these people have got their heads up there, you know what. So this guy, Mark Stevens, he wrote, this is after the game. Don't know what this guy does, but his name's Mark Stevens. And this tweet has been liked by 518 people, all of whom must be Victorian.
Of course.
He writes this, Adelaide gets a dream double-up final round versus West Coast. Another percentage picnic could very well shape the 8. Underlines compromised fixture. We must get to the position where all teams play each other once, rotating home status year by year. Having a whinge about Adelaide, who've played this year in Launceston, Darwin, home at Geelong, Ballarat, our first game at the MCG in 400 days, which, incidentally, Collingwood play there like 15 times. Their idea of an away game is making the arduous trek across the other side of Melbourne to Marvel Stadium. That's an arduous away trip for Collingwood. The whole thing's a Victorian rort.
I mean,
I'm angry in so many different ways, Luce.
We could do a full show on just Victorian rorts.
Oh, we could.
Couldn't we?
We could.
I mean, we won't. We won't.
We
It
could.
is a Monday, of course, so we'll catch up on everything over the weekend. I'm moving swiftly along, as you can
do
see.
that.
We'll save room for the Crows a bit
And
later.
on the plus side too today, well, not the plus side at all because it's a terribly sad story, but just to show that we are not so myopic and parochial, we're going to pay tribute to a great Australian and a great Victorian, Simon Crean, a bloke who I knew really well when I worked in the press gallery, one of the true gentlemen, good bloke, someone who you can often tell a lot about someone's character when their opponents are the first ones who come out and pay tribute to them. And the fact that, you know, you saw Peter Dutton, you saw a whole slew of Liberal people come and go, Simon Crean was a really good bloke. But he was, that doesn't suggest that he was a soft touch. He was very true to his working class principles. So we'll give him a bit of a send-off after 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that was a shock, that one. Age 74.
I know, 74. 74 used to be, wow, that's a good innings. 74 these days, it's like you got a good decade or so ahead of you.
That's right. We'll touch more on Simon Crean and those who paid tribute to him after 7 o'clock, as you say. We'll also be chatting with the SES this morning after the weekend that was. If the rain affected you, if you're in the hills, please give us a ring this morning, 8223 0000. Would love to hear from how the weather affected you. Also be talking about the movie bowl, which, David, excitingly, you get the task of revealing today.
Oh, good.
Something else for me to review this morning.
I like it when I get the rare opportunity to do my little,
little bit for the show.
Yeah, just the occasional bit of work, other than just sitting here ranting about Victorian conspiracies and,
Well, I'm also excited to get a review of something you did on Friday.
Oh, this is going to be good. We're going to be chatting to Warren from Adelaide Truffle Dogs later on.
7:30, David's truffle hunting review. I'm very excited for it. After 6:30 this morning, though, the biggest story, international story over the weekend, which again, it's the news cycle, isn't it? We moved on from the tragic subs story on Friday to a potential World War IV in Russia on Saturday morning, and then by Sunday that was dead as well.
It was crazy. I went out, had a bit of a late night Saturday night, and when I came home after seeing some bands with some friends, it was about 1:30, which is super late for me these days. But watching the BBC, and it was on for young and old in Russia. The latest reports when I went to bed were that the troops, the Wagner troops, which is this mercenary army led by Yevgeny Prigozhin, were heading towards Moscow. And I woke up barely 5 hours later, and it was all over. It was amazing.
I say World War IV because we all thought the Ukraine-Russia invasion over a year ago was going to be World War III, and this was a very short-lived World War IV potential.
Well, yeah, more civil war probably than World War, but averted for now. But it just shows the shambles that Russia is in under Putin's leadership.
Call us this morning, 8223 0000. Would love to hear from you this morning. You can jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream if you ever wondered what a serious case of bed hair looks like. And, of course...
Who are you referring to there?
Oh, both.
Both of us, yes.
And text in as well on the Duttons
Yours
text
is a bit
line.
frizzy, now you mention it.
Yeah, a lot of
Bit wayward.
people at Best of SA were saying how nice I looked, but that's because they'd never seen me without bed hair ever.
I didn't recognise you that night. I thought, who's that nice looking young person?
Text us on the Duttons text line. Check out all of the end of financial year offers at Duttons dealerships in Mount Barker and Murray Bridge. We'll get to some news headlines after this.
Tax time ends this week at Bunnings Trade. Don't miss the Paslow Framemaster and Trimmaster kit with carry case, 2 batteries and charger for $1,498, or the DeWalt Power Stack 5-amp kit for just $299. Offer ends June 30 at Bunnings Trade.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. After years of snoring like a train, the missus sent me for a CPAP Direct sleep test. I'm sleeping quiet and waking up refreshed.
Head into CPAP Direct for our end of financial year sale. Masks starting from $169, CPAP machines from $899. Get massive savings on CPAP equipment at your local CPAP Direct store. Exclusive to CPAP Direct and partner stores. T's and C's apply.
Find your local store at cpap.com.au.
Nothing says 5AA like talking. We just love it. Some would say perhaps too much.
We do, Luce. Well, if you love talking half as much as we do, why not use it to make a difference? This is a really good scheme, this. TAFE SA, they're looking for volunteer tutors to support migrants and refugees with their English language learning to help them thrive in the South Australian community. As a tutor in the TAFE Adult Migrant English program, you'll receive free training, develop new skills and meet students from diverse cultures for 1 to 2 hours a week. Now, it's an incredible opportunity to hear somebody's stories and help them start their life in South Australia. To find out more, visit tafesa.edu.au/VTS. This is a message from the Government of South Australia, RTO code 41026, VTS funded by the Commonwealth Department of Home Affairs.
The all-new Nissan Qashqai has been awarded the 2023 Drive Car of the Year Best Small SUV. And with Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses, you can drive the award-winning Nissan Qashqai ST for competitive weekly repayments that include the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
We'll get to Tom Wren with sport coming up. No doubt he'll have some thoughts about the Crows' loss, Dave. But before that, let's get to some news headlines. Australia has overtaken the United States to become the leader in the overall podcast listening among English-speaking countries.
Wow.
The Infinite Dial Australia report shows about 43% of us aged 12 and over have listened to a podcast in the past month, higher than the 42% of Americans that tuned in over the same period.
Wow. Are you a podcast consumer?
I podcast radio things, like if I'm air checking us or other stations, but I not generally otherwise, no.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like people who like reading fiction or listening to stuff. I sort of feel like I do enough reading and listening and oral audio type stuff in the course of my work that it's not something I regard. It feels anything involving reading outside of work hours or listening to stuff outside of work hours that isn't music feels like I'm doing my job still.
Going to do a sly little plug here for Sam and I have a podcast actually. It's called the 5AA Brunch.
Yeah.
So, Dave, you've featured on it in your time. You can find it at the David and Will podcast page. It's all about behind the scenes of the Brekkie Show. So if anyone wants to listen to a podcast...
I should probably listen to that more often because I reckon it must be a bit sort of almost cathartic for you two.
Oh, it's event. It's event from the day. Anyway, moving right along before any more questions get asked. Researchers have developed new clinical guidelines to help reduce opioid use. Doctors were concerned use in Australia could follow trends in Canada and the US, where there are rising rates of addiction to pain medication. Associate Professor Daniela Ganich says it will help GPs come up with a plan tailored to individual patient needs.
What we really are seeing is that over time, that opioid use sort of transitions to that long-term or persistent opioid use. And this is where we really see these guidelines being placed and used by Australian GPs.
something that Matt Pantelis tweeted early this morning, which will be of good news to some, certainly good news to Lifeblood. There are now changes to blood donation requirements, which will see donors with new tattoos allowed to donate after just 7 days.
With new tattoos?
Yeah, previous restrictions meant people were banned from donating blood until at least 4 months after getting fresh ink. But as of today, if you get a tattoo, you only have to wait 7 days.
Seriously? I suppose in the past there was a lot of paranoia around when AIDS first became a thing. People would freak out about things like tattoos, transfusions, all of that. But probably also some of the hepatitis type illnesses, heaps of things that could be transmitted by it. But maybe the popularity of tats is affecting their, a bit like police recruitment, where SAPOL changed their rules only a year ago to let people with tattoos into the force.
They're saying that this change could contribute up to 10,000 more donations each year.
Wow.
People can make a plasma donation immediately after getting a tattoo, but if you do just want to donate blood, you now only have to wait
Plasma
7
donation.
days.
That sounds unpleasant.
It's the same process.
Oh, okay.
It just takes a little bit longer, I think, to get
What's
plasma.
that thing where they have to inject into your spine?
Isn't that Sam's is lumbar puncture?
I'm not sure.
It sounds like an epidural for pregnancy.
Yeah, well, yes.
Which I'm nowhere near, but...
Wonder how many of our listeners donate blood. They used to give you a free pint of stout.
Yeah, the mad cow wave no longer affects it. So if you were living in Britain or been associated during that time period where mad cow disease affected you or a relative or one of your intimate partners, that doesn't affect anymore, so you can donate blood.
Yeah, right, okay.
There are still a few restrictions, obviously, health conditions, body size, those kinds of things.
Very noble thing to do.
Donate blood.
Takes very little time and hugely important for other people who are unwell, obviously.
I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm open to getting a tat.
Seriously?
I'll let my parents just fall over at that one.
Well, maybe we can do it together at the end of this week, Luce. To commemorate this week in radio. What do you reckon? Get the dates on our arm? Be good.
The National Heavy Vehicle Regulator is rolling out a new safety campaign to curb collisions involving trucks. Car drivers are at fault in around 70% of crashes with heavy vehicles. The aim from the National Heavy Regulator is to keep families safe, especially as traffic increases over the upcoming school holidays, which of course start here in 2 weeks' time. And the US Coast Guard is expected to provide another update on the Titan submersible. Police in Canada previously announced they are considering a criminal investigation into the deaths of the 5 men on board.
So they should. For everything I've read about the bloke who was the CEO of this Ocean Master dive apparatus thing, he sounds like a total shonk. Like, it sounds like there were so many checks and balances that he was desperate to avoid because he feared that the whole project would get pulled up on safety grounds.
The number one thing that stands out for me is when they said, oh, we'll use the GPS to find them. Oh, it doesn't have a GPS.
Yeah.
You can get e-scooters with a GPS these days.
Yeah. Matt Abraham's boat has got a GPS.
Baffles me. Continue to baffle me. Of course, terrible circumstances.
Probably didn't even have an EPIRB.
About which they died.
Unbelievable.
But there will be another update in the news cycle coming forward. 16, shower or two today between 0 and 2 mils. Of course, if you were a victim to the wet weather over the weekend, we'd love to hear from you this morning. 8223 0000. 15 tomorrow, 15 again on Wednesday, 14 on Thursday, 15 on Friday, Saturday 15, Sunday 15. It's a cold and wintry week. I know someone who will love this. Tom Wren, who's sitting here in his lovely white crisp work shirt and his footy shorts once again. Morning to you, Rennie. Get 10-year warranty and 10 years cap price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Morning, Lucy. Doing a great job as always in the chair. And David, hope you both had great weekends. We'll get into some winners and losers, shall we? And this one's a bit tricky.
You've got to put the Crows as losers.
Well, I put them as losers, but I've also put them as winners because I thought the way they played, I mean, that's as exciting a quarter of football as I've seen in a long time. But they lost the game, so disappointing, but what a game it was yesterday.
When you say the way they played that time, how'd they play in the second quarter?
Well, exactly, and the fourth to large degrees. They were outscored. They did it for one quarter brilliantly, but they weren't able to sustain it, so
nothing went their way.
No, the bounce of the ball, a couple of decisions went against them, but That's footy. They should have kicked straight and they would have had the game sewn up. So
well, they kicked 4 points in a row at the start of the final quarter.
Mm-hmm. So much to like.
It's hard to know how to feel emotionally about that game.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, there's so much riding on it. If we win that game, we're 5th.
Yep.
Now we're clinging on to 8th.
There's a real logjam. I had a look. There's one game between 5th and 11th. There's 7 sides within one game of each other.
If we kick 4 more points in 2 games against Collingwood, we're equal with Melbourne.
Well, that's right.
Like, it's just maddening.
It's a game of inches. And look, Taylor Walker outstanding again yesterday, particularly in the second half.
Dawson in his 100th.
Dawson
3 votes all day, surely.
Well, I think so, but the umpires tend to see Nick Dacos, and he was very good.
Sam on the text line texted him, what about the free kick count? Vic umpires at a Vic ground. They are, and even watching it on television, the Victorian commentary. I know Anthony Hudson's a good commentator, but whenever Collingwood fell behind, it was like they were actively giving them tips. It was like, Collingwood, it was like they were willing them to win. That's why we've got people like Stephen Rowe, even the Ledger.
I was driving back from the Flinders Ranges yesterday and I listened to Rowe and Tuggers. They did a great job with Campo and he kept saying, I've got to stop you. I'm going to get sued. You take over, Sam. It was classic. I did enjoy it. But look, the positive is, half glass full. They know they can match it with the league's best. So if they can sustain it, it's all there for them and they can make the finals. But it would have made such a difference if they won yesterday or that match back in round 7. Not to be. They're 7-7. We'll keep on moving. Other big winner from the weekend, the Adelaide Thunderbirds. That was just breathtaking.
Yes, exciting stuff for the old netballers.
How good. I mean, to beat the New South Wales Swifts 2 weeks ago, they had to win that to finish in the top 2. They did that, and then they had to win on the weekend to make it through to the grand final. First finals campaign in a decade. And they won that in overtime. I mean, that match had everything.
The final, 7 seconds where they got the goal to make it level was just a perfect pass into the ring, perfect shot in the ring.
Yeah.
Made it even with 5 minutes play time and to win by 2, straight into the granny. God, just love it.
How good. Eleanor Carbour has been the recruit of the decade. She's been exceptional for the T-Birds, and they were so good. So now a grand final, and they'll play the winner of the Swifts, who are in the prelim against the West Coast FIVEAA, who won yesterday. And another one who's a loser from overnight, but I'm reluctant to make him a loser. He's a bit of a winner because he made it through to the final, was Alex de Minaur. Good warm-up for Wimbledon, made it through to the final of the Queen's Club Championships, albeit losing to the number 1 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, but nice to see him playing well on grass.
That's right. Carlos is a bit of a young freak, I guess, at the tennis game. He's doing outstanding work. And Wimbledon only starts next week. I'm really pumped. I love it when I'm on air for a good tennis tournament. You can talk about crows, but I'll be talking about tennis. That's right. Yeah. It's exciting to see grass court. Won't be the same without Roger Federer, but...
Yeah, and hopefully Nick Kyrgios is there. I mean, he was runner-up last year, but he has not been able to play since the Oz Open.
Is he right? Is he physically right?
I've just seen he's pulled out of another tournament this week as a warm-up tournament, so hopefully he's fine for a week's time.
Yeah.
Because that was last year's Wimbledon in July when he made the final.
Hard to come in cold, though. He hasn't played for 6 months. Going to be very tough to play without any matches under his belt, but it is his favourite surface. And go the Aussies in the women's cricket. The conclusion of that will be tonight. It's been a cracking test match against England. We need 5 wickets. They needed 152 runs. And
when's Lords, mate?
Lords is Wednesday night. So the women's will finish, and then we're straight into the men's the following day.
Excellent.
Good stuff, Rennie.
Beautiful.
We'll chat with you a bit later on. It is 6:28. We'll be back after 5AA News.
APIA is giving you the chance to win a $40,000 energy savings bundle. That's up to $40,000 worth of solar panels, rechargeable batteries and more. Purchase an eligible new APIA comprehensive car or home insurance policy to enter. That's APIA value. APIA is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Read the PDS before buying insurance. TMD also available. Call for a copy. Competition ends 25th of the 8th of 23. Eligibility criteria and full T&Cs at apia.com.au. Permits ACT TP23/00636 and SAT 23/489 and NSW TP/01324.
Rediscover the joy of driving with Honda's latest mid-sized SUV, the stunning Honda ZR-V. Available now from Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond. Striking and sporty on the outside, sophisticated and refined on the inside. The Honda ZR-V is comfortably spacious and practical, and packed with intuitive tech, making every drive a dream. The all-new Honda ZR-V at Formula Honda. Test drive today from our 2 locations, Modbury or Glen Osmond.
Do you know what really keeps the Royal Flying Doctor Service in the air? It is you. Without you, the Royal Flying Doctor Service can't save lives. Without you, our regional and remote communities would be left alone. Without hope, just thousands of them.
That's right. So if you hear a plane flying overhead, remember it could be the Royal Flying Doctor Service on its way to help someone in a farming or motor vehicle accident. They could be helping a new mum deliver a preemie baby or providing life-saving support for anyone in need, no matter where they live, country or city.
But it is nearly impossible to keep the Flying Doctor in the air without your support. Caring for Australians from the ground up is exactly what the RFDS does. So, for the people and the life you love, please donate today. Visit flyingdoctor.org.au. That's flyingdoctor.org.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 16 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is among political figures paying their respects to Simon Crean. The former Labor leader's died suddenly during a visit to Europe for meetings on business and trade. He was 74. Mr Albanese has called him a great servant of the Labor movement and a wonderful human being. While the Prime Minister's personal popularity has taken a hit as voters reject the voice. Michael Packey has details.
The latest news poll shows support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament continues to slide, with 43% in favour of the measure and 47% against. The survey also shows 4 states reject the introduction of the advisory body, with backing limited to New South Wales and Victoria. The poll is another sign the referendum slated for later this year is in trouble. Anthony Albanese has invested an enormous amount of political capital in the voice, but as a result, the PM's personal approval rating has taken a solid hit, diving 10 points to 42%.
Embattled accounting firm PwC is bringing in an overseas company veteran as its new chief executive to help deal with the fallout of a major scandal. The company is accused of using sensitive government documents to help multinational clients dodge proposed tax laws. Singapore-based Kevin Burrows is being brought in to take control of government consulting. There's still huge uncertainty over the future of Vladimir Putin's leadership, a day after the aborted uprising. Here's Brett McLeod.
Vladimir Putin has not been seen in public since the rebellion ended. There has been a television interview which appeared to have been recorded before the military challenge led by Yevgeny Prigozhin. And the leader of the Wagner private army has himself been out of sight after agreeing to pull back his Moscow-bound forces in return for exile in Belarus. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the 24-hour drama shows real cracks in the Russian leadership after the greatest threat to Putin's grip on power. President Biden has spoken to Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who says they discussed the hostilities in Russia.
Work is underway to woo Chinese visitors back to Australia. Tourist numbers are still down substantially from pre-COVID levels. Tourism Australia will introduce Ruby the Roo to Chinese residents on Thursday as part of its Come and Say G'day campaign. The US Coast Guard isn't ruling out criminal charges over the implosion of the Titan submersible. An investigation of the highest level has been launched into the tragedy which claimed the lives of 5 men. Chief Investigator Captain Jason Neubauer says salvaging the wreck and collecting evidence are key priorities.
The MBI, however, is also responsible for accountability aspects, and it can make recommendations to the proper authorities to pursue civil or criminal sanctions as necessary. However, any subsequent enforcement activities would be pursued under a separate investigation.
And Kate Blanchett has made a surprise appearance at the Glastonbury Music Festival. The Aussie actress danced on stage with US pop duo Sparks for their song The Girl's Crying in Her Latte. She first appeared in the video clip for the track. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you, Kendall. Let's start with footy. Adelaide is set to keep a close eye on defender Nick Murray after he was subbed out of yesterday's match against Collingwood with a hamstring injury. He'll have scans today after he was taken out of the game with his movement restricted in the first half. The Crows remain in the top 8 despite going down to the Pies by 2 points. It means Adelaide has still won only one match outside of SA this season, but coach Matthew Nicks says there was a lot to like.
If you look win-loss, yeah, we lost another one today and people can go back and look at that, but everyone who was in the stadium today, that was a battle. That was good footy.
And there was one other match to wrap up the round with Gold Coast 67-point winners against Hawthorn. Well, Australia enters the final day of the Women's Ashes Test, needing just 5 wickets for victory at Trent Bridge. But the game is still reasonably evenly poised, with England 152 runs away from completing a record run chase. Aussie opener Beth Mooney says the first hour of play at Trent Bridge will be crucial.
We've still got to bowl really well on that wicket and try and extract as much as we can out of it. So, I back our bowlers to take the 5 wickets. There's a lot of time left in the game.
And Nick Kyrgios's Wimbledon preparations have taken another hit, withdrawing from the Mallorca Open due to his troublesome knee injury. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the weather.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your AutoMasters technician.
A shower or two and 16 today, more of the same tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15. Then a shower or two for Thursday, down to 14. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
6:36 Monday morning. Good morning to you, David and Lucy, for the week while Will is on holidays. Please join in on the show. Give us a ring, 8223 0000, or shoot us a text on the Duttons text line. Check out all of the end of financial year offers at Duttons dealerships in Mount Barker and Murray Bridge. A bit later this morning, David and I are both reviewing things. I get to pick a movie to review. David's reviewing his truffle hunting exercise.
Absolutely sensational, beautiful setting down there in Maiponga at a undisclosed location. Well, we reveal some of it, but the good news is that if you do want to do one of these tours, you can. They're absolutely remarkable. Remarkable too with the developments in Russia over the weekend. On Friday, the story broke that the head of the shady Wagner Group, which is the privately run paramilitary organisation, largely comprising ex-prisoners, a standing army of about 25,000 that has been helping Russia fight its illegal war in Ukraine, suddenly announced at the behest of their leader Yevgeny Prigozhin that they were basically going to go to war against the Russian army. Vincent McAviney is our UK correspondent, and he has been following this over the weekend because it's a huge world story, but particularly in Europe. It started and finished in record time, Vincent, but has it really finished? What do you think of the lingering sort of repercussions from it? Because it looks like a pretty uneasy truce, does it not?
It was a pretty incredible night, I have to be honest. I was the overnight correspondent on Friday for the BBC when we started getting these reports in at about 9 p.m. local time, and then sort of worked through the night trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And in a matter of hours, we were seeing this video footage coming out and social media footage showing that, as you say, the Wagner Group managed to get themselves out of Ukraine, cross the border at multiple points with Russia, and effectively seized control of a city called Rostov-on-Don in a couple of hours without meeting much resistance from the traditional Russian military on the ground. We believe they did shoot down a number of helicopters, and it's helicopters that they accused the Wagner Group accused the Russian military of having used on them purposefully on Thursday and Friday. So you can understand why they might be quite gung-ho about shooting those down. And then, within a matter of hours, saying that he was going to take this justice march to Moscow. We know, for instance, that there was real panic in Moscow. They were digging trenches on the main highway that led from this city to Moscow to try and stop tanks from rolling through. They declared they told everyone to stay inside. They declared Monday as a national holiday. They started doing emergency broadcasts on TV. So in the 23 years since Putin first took power, I think this was the biggest crisis that he's ever faced domestically, and it has really fractured now his hold on power.
In terms of what it means for Ukraine, Vincent, I noted that tragically and sickeningly overnight, the Russians resumed their attacks. I think that 5 people died in Ukraine from a missile strike. I think five. Well, there's certainly been some civilian deaths in the last 24 hours. So Russia seems to be trying to send a message that they're still there, they're still fighting. But they've been so reliant on the Wagner Group in terms of mounting a lot of their operations with not great success, given what the expectations were when the war started back in February last year. So how do they maintain their current level of strength in Ukraine if they've got 25,000 soldiers led by a bloke who has made it clear he no longer supports Russia?
Well, I think this is a huge turning point in the war for Ukraine. They were watching very nervously to see what was going to happen, whether this had turned into a full coup at the weekend. And I think if you interpret it in 2 ways, there is now the actual forces in Ukraine, but then the psychological effects in Russia itself. So in terms of the forces in Ukraine, what we understand has happened is that Evgeny Prigozhin is now actually sort of in a form of exile in Belarus, that his forces have been subsumed into the traditional Russian army, and they were really sort of the spear point of the Russian attack in Ukraine in recent months. Now, what it's going to show is that there's going to be huge sort of problems with morale. There's going to be huge organizational issues now in the Russian army. It's very much going to be a divided fighting force without the director that managed to, get them out of the combat zone and to reinvade their own country and potentially take down a president who, everyone thinks has an iron grip, but that's clearly not the case. So whether there'll be a cohesive fighting force, in the months to come, we will see. A conscript army throughout history is never one that's that successful. And clearly the Russian military itself, and the fact that it didn't lay down any proper opposition to the Wagner Group when it put that march into Russia, it shows that the morale in the traditional Russian army is at rock bottom too. I think for Ukraine, it's going to be a huge advantage tactically, therefore, on the ground. But I think it just shows the rest of the world, and NATO leaders are meeting this week in Europe to discuss the war. It shows the rest of the world that it's working. The strategy of holding together with Ukraine, of allowing to sort of just, the discord in Russia, the discord in the Kremlin, to sort of fester because they're completely stuck in this war, which they cannot win now effectively. It is causing problems amongst the generals. It's causing problems for Putin. And Putin now looks, dictators are very brittle creatures.
Yeah.
They might look strong, but they do crack quite quickly with a little bit of pressure, especially surprise pressure. You really see underneath their structures, if they haven't won the hearts of people because they're sort of controlling them with fear, then they'll have very little support when it comes to the crunch time.
And it's great analysis. I mean, it takes you back to like post-'89 when you saw people like Ceausescu in Romania just fold like umbrellas the moment the writing was on the wall, and it was a little bit reminiscent of that for a while over the weekend,
there was a lot of thinking back to the fall of the wall, complete surprise, caught everyone off guard, was that this kind of moment as well? But we'll see whether or not this truce holds. We know that Putin holds the grudge. I spent a long time with you guys talking from Salisbury, where, if you remember a few years ago in 2017, 2018 it was, Putin had poisoned with chemical warfare agents a former spy who defected to the UK many years later. We know that people in Russia that go against Putin have a habit of either being poisoned or falling from windows. So we'll see just how long Evgeny Prigozhin lasts now. But it does show that Putin now is in a very much weakened state. And he gave a sort of panicked, I think, in my interpretation, slightly panicked address on Saturday morning to the Russian people, calling it a mutiny. I don't think these two, who have been incredibly close, who've worked together for many years, he's sort of this strange. Prigozhin is this sort of strange sort of fixer for Putin. He'd been a chef for him at one point. He'd done all sorts. That there is clearly now, moves against Putin in Russia itself.
Great stuff as always, Vincent. Vincent McAviney, our UK correspondent there. Remarkable story. We're so lucky to live in this country, aren't we, Lise? Like you think about lucky. imagine a scenario whereby Australia had a formal partnership with a mercenary army that was staffed entirely. It would be like if we decided we needed to bolster our national security, so we let everybody out of Yatwa.
Scary thought, even that.
Well, I know. These are the people who've been running around in Ukraine.
Important to note as well, I know last year we laughed a bit when our Premier Peter Malinauskas got blacklisted by Russia, and we thought, how are South Aussies getting blacklisted by the Russian state? Anyway, over the weekend, 12 more South Aussies have joined that list. They have blacklisted the entirety of the Australia Day Council of South Australia. The board members were included. There was a latest list, 48 Australians who were banned by the Russian Foreign Ministry. 12 of those were South Australia's Australia Day Council. That list includes Torrens MP Dana Wortley and Mitcham Mayor Heather Holmes-Ross, as well as 10 others.
Well, see, this is Vlad Putin really proving the old maxim there, don't sweat the small stuff. Maybe if you spent less time worrying about blacklisting the Mayor of Mitcham and the member for Hyson, he could have been paying more attention to what his old mate Yevgeny was up to.
High on the priority list, evidently. Currently, it's 11.8 degrees in the city. Feels like 9.5. We will catch up with the Weather Bureau and SafePol shortly. But first, let's check traffic for the first time this morning. Car battery slow to start. Search RAA battery. Battery replacement available only to RAA road service holders. T's and C's apply.
Roads are pretty wet out there this morning, so take care and drive to the conditions. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels. In Salisbury South, there's a burst water main on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road. Speeds are down to 40 and one lane is closed. Watch your speed today, Midway Road, Elizabeth Park. South Australia, Bob Jane T-Marts have a great deal for you this June. Head down to your local T-Mart and get 30% off a large range of selected Kumo when you buy 4 tyres. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hi Calvin, it's Michael from Automasters here. I've just got your car on the hoist and I just wanted to show you.
Now you can see what we see.
The engine oil is very low. I'll just show you that now.
AutoCam.
This is your cabin filter. As you can see, a fair bit of dust and dirt.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
You can see the outside of the throttle body's nice and clean. The inside here.
See any issue firsthand. How good? Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide Tech Guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
We all want more time to do the things that really matter. Fortunately, Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer, has a great offer that will give you more time, literally. Right now, you can pick up the Samsung Galaxy S23 with 128 gigs and 5G for $0 up front when you connect to a new Optus $69 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months. And the real kicker is you'll receive a bonus Galaxy Watch 5 LTE via redemption. This watch is great for sleep tracking, health and wellness monitoring, plus it has a 13% longer lasting battery for everyday use. What a great bonus. This amazing offer ends July 3rd. Minimum cost $1,656, not available with other offers. In-store only, cancellation fees, terms and conditions apply.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
Solar Heart has been helping smart Aussies turn sunshine into hot water for 70 years. From our reliable rooftop models to sleek split systems and smart tanks that talk to your solar panels. No one knows more about solar hot water than Solar Heart. And right now, you'll get a $500 trade-in when you upgrade to one of Solar Heart's energy-saving water heaters. So if you want to lower your energy bills and your emissions, get smart. Get Solar Heart. Terms and conditions apply.
This month, all kids 14 and under get to go to the footy for free.
What about that?
That's all games between rounds 16 and 19 of the 2023 Toyota AFL Premiership season. From selfies to screamers and tasty treats.
Spectacular!
Make it an awesome day for the family with a day out at the footy. Kids go free rounds 16 to 19.
Boy, oh boy, wow-wee!
Go to afl.com.au/kidsmonth. Terms and conditions apply, subject to capacity and availability.
AutoCam.
So this is the air filter out of your car.
Real-time video sent direct to you from your Automasters technician.
It's not actually the wheel bearing. What it is, the handbrake.
AutoCam. Real-time reporting with instant SMS approval. Call 1300 Automasters.
5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
That sweeper's going to throw me all week, David. I'm so used to hearing David and Will. Sorry, Will's on holidays. You are soon on holidays, but it is David and Lucy for the week. Let's get to the weather of the day. Senior forecaster Jenny Horvat's on duty at the Bureau. Morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Lucy. Good morning, David.
Well, I know I'm always freezing, Jenny, but how are we looking for today and the rest of the week?
Yeah, look, we've got those average winter temperatures coming up, so keep those winter woolies handy. Currently 11.6 at our West Terrace Notapira observation site after a minimum temperature of 11.3. That happened at about 10 past 4 this morning. We are aiming for around 16 degrees in the city and across the suburbs, maybe only 15 for Noarlunga, 14 for Mount Barker today. Got a ridge of high pressure over just sort of to the east of us, maintaining a bit of a moist westerly airstream. So just couldn't rule out still a shower or two around today. Not too much showing up on the radar, a little bit up around the hills and maybe a little bit coming across the Gulf, but very, very hit and miss for today and becoming less likely as we head into the later part of the day. Not dissimilar with the showers around on Tuesday, a little bit hit and miss with those. And again, looking at a top temperature of around 15 degrees after a minimum temperature of 9. On Wednesday, we'll probably see those showers increasing. A bit of a front moving through at this stage. The timing looks like maybe a bit later in the day, but we'll watch this space. But yeah, maybe a little bit wetter with the showers around on Wednesday. Again, only around 15 degrees. Shower or two on Thursday, around 14 degrees following that front, just a little bit cooler. Another system on Friday, maybe enhancing those showers around, again, around 15 degrees. Couldn't rule out a shower or two for the weekend. A little bit hit and miss, and those temperatures hovering around 15 degrees as we head into the weekend as well.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jenny. Stay warm. I know I've got my trusty rain jacket, Douglas Mawson, here at the ready. Let's head across to SAPO now. Senior Constable Kate Dawson's on duty. Morning to you, Kate.
Good morning, guys.
First of all, a suspicious house fire at Fitzroy last night.
Yeah, this was about 8:15 last night. Police and MFS were called to Martin Avenue after reports that a house was on fire. So the home was vacant, but when emergency services arrived, the home was fully engulfed in flames. So MFS were quickly able to extinguish that blaze, but significant damage was caused to the premises. So our fire cause investigators attended the scene to assist with the investigation, and they believe that the fire was deliberately lit. So we're just asking anybody who may have seen any suspicious behaviour around 8:15, slightly earlier last night, to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Kate, also a guy has crashed his motorbike in Wyala overnight. What's the story there?
Yes, this was a good job by Wyala Patrol. So it was about midnight last night. Police were on an unrelated matter on Elliott Street in Wyala when they saw a motorbike come around the corner and travel at speed towards them on the wrong side of the road. So the rider clearly panicked when he saw police and attempted to bring the bike back over to the right side of the road, but he lost control and slid off the bike. So he got up and tried to run away from police, but he was quickly caught by patrols there. Then in his possession, they located gloves, bolt cutters, other wire cutters, a hammer, and a small amount of drugs. So he was clearly on the way to do something naughty. But yeah, further checks revealed that he also didn't have a licence and the motorbike was unregistered and uninsured.
Yeah.
So yeah, that 31-year-old's been arrested and charged with a number of serious offences, and he'll appear in the Wyala Magistrates Court at a later date. So really good job there by patrol, quite fortuitous.
Holding a pair of bolt cutters while riding a motorbike, that sort of stuff you might look at embarking on a career in the circus.
It's not unskillful.
Yeah. It's not totally devoid of talent, just application. Great work that you pinched him. What a loser. Good on you, Kate. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kate. Senior Constable Kate Dawson there. I'm going to use the phrase that Senior Sergeant Peter Williams used last week, acting sus.
Acting sus.
So
That
whilst acting sus isn't an offence, usually it leads to something that can cause offence.
How good is the word sus? It's one of the great Australian words, I reckon. Something a bit sus about this.
Call us, 8223 0000. What are the great Australian words? Or, of course, you can text in on Dutton's text line, 0448 08 1395. Sus is up there on the top of the list for me.
Yeah,
acting sus.
Yeah.
So-and-so has been sus all weekend.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what about this coffee? It looks sus.
Or suss this out.
Suss this
I'm
out.
just going to go and suss this out.
So many examples. Please give us a ring this morning, 8223 0000. Alison in Largs Bay has done just that. Good morning to you, Alison.
Oh, good morning. Now, is this Lucy?
Yes, it is.
Oh, welcome. I really love speaking to the B team. So, welcome. You're just the person I need to speak to.
Thank you.
Look, I'm feeling a bit nervous. I need to fess up because I've been acting sus all morning. And sometimes when that happens, I know the police sort of kept a bit of a curious eye on myself and my little car at the Derek Diver Bridge this morning at Port Adelaide.
Right.
And I'm a rules person. I actually do like to follow the rules, but we're supposed to be going to a funeral in Pinaroo today, and my car is chock-a-block full of removal boxes. And I had spoken to Mark Butler, or had spoken to a few people and just asked what I could do with them. And life got away from me, and we've got to leave this morning. Luckily, my husband, well, not luckily that he's sick, but luckily the first thing he said this morning was, I'm too sick to go.
Oh, gosh.
That gave me, a bit sad, another Goods funeral. There's been too many Goods funerals.
Oh, Alison, sorry to hear that news. I know that's tough.
Pinaroo's not too far, though. You'll be right. I wouldn't worry about the boxes.
Thank you, though, for calling us and acknowledging us as the B team. That's all right. I'd happily be referred to as the B team.
As a compliment. There's nothing B team about you, Lise.
No, well, thank you for your kind words, Alison, and thanks for ringing in. Scott in Glenunga's called up with an Aussie word. Morning, Scott.
Good morning, guys. How are we?
Good, thank you,
Scott.
That's good. That was a bit of a sus review then, if they called you the B team.
Right.
That's all right. We'll take whatever we can,
yeah,
Scott.
no, I consider you the A team this week for sure.
Thanks.
I don't use the word much myself, but a quintessential Aussie word has to be bogan, doesn't it? Does any other country use bogan?
Yeah, in the UK it's chav.
Chav, yeah.
But bogan, definitely Australian.
In Mexico it's naco, N-A-C-O, for like someone without class.
Thank you, Scott. Bogan, sus, dag. I use dag a fair bit.
Dag's kind of a likeable, it's got a sort of warmth to it. You dag. A lot of love for you on the old Dutton's text line as well, Lise. What
That's
about
right,
this?
that'll be short-lived.
No, I'm just going to struggle to get through them all before 7 o'clock. Brett, great to hear Lucy back on air, and he says it's also strange hearing Adelaide with its cold, wet temperatures while I'm on holiday in Darwin, where it's 26 here already. Lucky you, Brett. Another one here from Jen. This is on the Foodland Supermarkets live stream. Nice to hear you again, Luce, and how great were the Thunderbirds making the grand final. And Wiley the Walnut says, welcome back, Luce. Keep Penma under control. Bad luck, Crows. Keep playing like this, though, and the wins will come. Thank you for the texts.
Brad in One Tree Hills called in with an Aussie word. Morning, Brad.
Yeah, morning, Lucy. Morning, Dave. Yeah, well, anybody who reckons you're in the B team, Lucy's a drongo.
A drongo. Thank you, Brad.
And another one too is you come just say for example, that's a perler of an idea.
Perler.
Yeah,
perler of an idea. Thanks,
perler?
Brad. Perler of a call.
What's the origin of that? A perler. What is a perler? Like, is it someone who hunts for pearls?
Emily's out there in the booth today. Em, look up origin of perler, please.
That's how it works out there, Em. People on air say stuff and then they look at the booth.
That's right.
What is the capital of Honduras?
We're training Emily up.
Tegucigalpa.
One that I've thrown around recently that I've noticed I'm doing is crikey.
Oh, yeah, crikey.
Even in the last fortnight, I notice I'm saying crikey a lot more. Anyway, I'm sure we have plenty more suggestions. Keep them coming in, 8223 0000. We will take some more calls after the 7 o'clock news with Kendall.
Tax time is ending this week at Bunnings Trade. Don't miss the AEG 10-piece mega kit valued at over $3,500 for $1,999. Plus your choice of bonus nailer skin, lawnmower skin or 4 5-amp batteries via redemption. Offer ends June 30 at Bunnings Trade.
Afternoon Aldi shoppers, this is a message for Kate Hassler in aisle 3. Hey, we know you see other supermarkets.
What? You do?
Yeah, it's cool. Really. Go get that smoked herring paste next door.
You're just saying that.
Nah, I mean it. But you'll save more if you shop at Aldi first.
You'll always be my first shop.
We love you.
What about me?
We love you too, Pete. Aldi. Good. Different.
Treat yourself to a winter getaway and unlock something extraordinary, a complimentary minibar. Book direct with participating SA Weekend Escapes hotels this winter and enjoy a free minibar upon arrival. Discover some of South Australia's hidden gems, from Berry to Victor Harbour to Kangaroo Island and more. Immerse yourself in picturesque landscapes, indulge in gourmet delights and embrace unique experiences. Visit saweekendescapes.com.au to unlock your free minibar and embrace the magic of South Australia. Australia.
5AA's Business Lounge with Matthew Pantelis.
Day in, day out, our Royal Flying Doctor Service comes to the rescue of someone in South Australia. To tell us more, I'm joined by Charlie Patterson, Executive GM.
Thank you, Matthew. That's right. We come to the rescue of at least 15 South Australians every day, and they may be people when they have an accident or become critically ill, when they're living, working or travelling in rural and remote South Australia. When people need urgent care, we'll retrieve them to Adelaide to major hospitals.
What about funding, Charlie? I imagine it's expensive. Who pays for all this?
Well, it comes from all parts of the community. We rely on governments, of course, and the key partners, but also, and most importantly, we rely on the community to purchase and replace our flying intensive care units at a cost of $10 million each. When we look at people to ask to donate, you see an aircraft in the sky and you know that the community has funded the purchase and replacement of that aircraft.
Thank you, Charlie. To keep the Royal Flying Doctor Service in the air, donate today at flyingdoctor.org.au. That's flyingdoctor.org.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 16 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Physio Extra now offers holistic lipedema and lymphedema services. Go to physioextra.com for more.
Residents are on high alert as 2 dams threaten to fail. More from Abby Smith.
The State Emergency Service has reissued an urgent warning for 2 dams at risk of failing following heavy rain. Crews continue to monitor the Hope Forest and Basket Range dams as they threaten to fail if there's more large downpours. Some property owners have been told they may need to evacuate, or several roads have been closed across both regions. Meantime, a new sinkhole has appeared near Mount Gambier's city centre after persistent rain. There's more rain on the way this week too, with temperatures dropping to 14 degrees by Thursday.
Politicians are paying tribute to former federal Labor leader Simon Crean, who's died at the age of 74. He was on a business trip in Germany when he died suddenly after morning exercise. Mr Crean was a key figure in the Labor and Union movement, holding the Victorian seat of Hotham for more than 20 years. Home Affairs Minister Claire O'Neill took over the seat in 2013 and says the party's devastated.
It is an enormous shock. Simon was a giant of the Labor Party and the Labor movement, and he was integral to just about everything that happened in Australian politics and industrial relations for more than 40 years.
The referendum for an Indigenous voice to Parliament's in serious trouble. The latest news poll shows support at just 43% and those against at 47%. Voters in 4 states reject the advisory body being enshrined in the Constitution. Only New South Wales and Victoria back the measure. Welfare advocates are warning the lowest paid Australians are not being left with enough money after forking out for essentials like food and rent. Anglicare Australia's cost of living index shows full-time workers on a minimum wage have just $57 left after weekly expenses. Executive Director Casey Chambers says the real figure could be much lower.
Now, we only factored in very basic items of food. We didn't do things like utilities or car insurance annual and monthly costs.
Embattled consulting firm PwC is bringing in a new chief executive for its Australian operations as it continues to deal with the fallout of a major scandal. The company is accused of using sensitive government documents to help multinational clients dodge proposed tax laws. The US Secretary of State believes there are cracks in the strength of Russia's military direction. Security measures are still in place in Moscow after a failed rebellion by the head of the Wagner mercenary group. Antony Blinken's told America's ABC there are many questions which have been left unanswered.
There's been a lot of focus on making sure that the Ukrainians have what they need to be as successful as possible on the ground, and we'll see how that unfolds over the coming weeks and even coming months. But again, to the extent this presents a distraction, a loss of focus for the Russians, that may help the Ukrainians on the battlefield.
And Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, has had surgery after being diagnosed with breast cancer. A spokesperson says she was recently told about the cancer following a routine mammogram screening. She's now recuperating with her family and doctors have told her the prognosis is good. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide coach Matthew Nicks admits the loss against Collingwood is the most painful his side has felt this season. The Crows pushed the Pies all the way before going down by 2 points at the MCG. Nick says he was proud of his players, but disappointed they couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, we are hurting at the moment. That's the most we've felt the pain post a loss. But you got to butter up and get ready to go next week.
And there was one other match to wrap up round 15 yesterday, with Gold Coast smashing Hawthorn by 67 points. Wanda Kyrgios has withdrawn from his second tournament this month due to knee soreness, but he remains hopeful he'll be fit to play Wimbledon, where he finished runner-up last year.
Unfortunately, my body's not as healthy as it was last year, but it's still an ample part of my preparation to go into Wimbledon.
Meantime, Alex de Minaur has gone down to world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz in the final of the Queen's Club Championship, 6-4, 6-4. To cricket, England will resume at 5 for 116 on the final day of the Women's Ashes Test against Australia at Trent Bridge, needing a further 152 runs to win, while the Aussies still require 5 wickets. Record crowds of nearly 19,000 have turned out for the Suncorp Super Netball semi-finals. Wins by Adelaide and West Coast over the weekend. The T-Birds now into the grand final. And the Wallabies have announced co-captains for the first time, with James Slipper and Michael Hooper to lead Australia in the World Cup. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now checking FIVEAA traffic.
Pretty wet on the roads this morning, so take care and drive to the conditions. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels, so take Greenhill Road instead. In Salisbury South, there's a burst water main on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road, another at Erbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Watch your speed today, Halsey Road, Elizabeth East. Say hello to $1 million cash with the MS Game Changer Lottery. Plus, the early bird 150k cash prize closes midnight Wednesday. Get your tickets now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automasters technician.
A shower or two and 16 today, the same tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15, and a shower or two on Thursday, down to 14. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
On this Monday, Will Goodings is off on a lovely 2-week break, well deserved. It's David and Lucy for the week. Then next week I get to be with Rennie, which is great, as I highlighted before, because Wimbledon's starting.
Oh, yeah.
So next week will be the tennis show, the winter tennis show.
It's going to be round-the-clock tennis coverage with you two in the chair.
Coming
and then
up,
the week after that, it'll be the Lucy and Will show.
That's right, I
Just
know.
to keep our listeners on their toes.
The revolving chair of talent, as they say in the business. Coming up this morning, David, you're going to review your truffle hunting expedition, and we'll be picking a movie out of the movie bowl for me to review today. But of course, over the weekend, the SES had in the realm of 200 call-outs in the 48 hours over the weekend. There was rain galore. I've had some stats here. So far in June, it's the 26th today, we're nearly through it, but in June we've had a total of 97.4 mils of rain. The average rainfall is actually 20 mils fewer than that, 77.8 mils. We have well exceeded our average rainfall.
We had a great visual demonstration of that Saturday morning at Sam's Grade 2 school soccer. The oval that they played on, it looked like one of those mud pits in Bolivia where people go mining for copper. It was like children were being sort of sucked into the vortex, and the ball would be, a kid would kick the ball and it would go about 2 metres and just go and just stop.
Sodden mud. Of course, the Adelaide Hills has copped an absolute drenching, and over the weekend the SES has been monitoring 2 dams, one in Basket Range and the other at Hope Forest. With an update from the weekend, joining us now is State Duty Officer at the SES, Ian Bonithan. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're well, thank you. A bit of a shock for those who may have been affected by the dams over the weekend. What was the outcome where we sit this morning?
Okay, so I'll talk about Basket Range first. The dam there, we are currently doing some siphoning to lower the height of that dam. However, it's not so much the dam that has any integrity issues. There's been a large slippage of the soil below the dam, so about 10 metres away from that dam, and that's what's impacted the Lobethal Road. So the reason why that's been closed. Now, the council cleaned up all of that debris over the weekend. However, the integrity of that slippage is still suspect, and that's why we've got that road closed. So we have engineers have had a look at it, and they are worried that with the saturation of the soil and the continuing weather that we're going to have with showers, then there could be some more slippage. And that's the reason why we have that road closed, and we have door-knocked residents along the Deep Creek towards Knots Hill Road, and they are aware of the issues and why the road is closed.
So, Hope Forest, what's the situation there, Ian?
Hope Forest, we are worried about the integrity of the dam wall. It has got some corrugated iron sheeting that is part of the wall, and there has been some movement of those sheets. We have had SA Water engineers out to look at that, and they are going back out this morning along with people from an excavator, like an engineering company, to look at whether we can widen the spillway of that dam to, again, drop the water level to try and reduce the risk of that dam failing.
When you say risk too, Ian, are there many properties sort of in line with the water in the event that there was some sort of dam spill?
Yeah, so at Hope Forest, there's about half a dozen homes that we have spoken to and door-knocked. We've asked them to put their emergency plan in place and prepare for any flooding, move valuables to a safe place, things like that. So they are aware that there could be an issue.
Ian, are you expecting many more call-outs this morning? I understand bulk of it was over the weekend, but with colder and damper temperatures, are you expecting many more today?
Yeah, we normally get, especially in the mornings, from overnight rains or winds, we normally get the people that wake up and find that there's something different to their property. Either branches come down or there's been some water inundating either through the ceiling or around their property. So, yeah, look, mornings usually give us a little bit more work. However, because we're just expecting showers instead of rain over the next few days, we're hoping that our excellent volunteers are going to get a little bit of a break. They've been doing a lot of work, especially since Thursday with that heavy rain.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Ian, and we'll hope for the best with those dams. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Good on you, Ian. Thank you. If we've had any listeners in Hope Forest or Basket Range who are in the firing line, give us a call, 8223 0000.
We'd like to now pay a bit of a tribute to former Labor leader Simon Crean. He has died at the age of 74. He was on a business trip in Germany when he died suddenly, supposedly after some morning exercise. He was, of course, leader of the opposition from 2001 to 2003. He held the Victorian seat of Hotham for more than 20 years. He was a cabinet minister in the Hawke, Keating, Rudd and Gillard governments. Dave, I know you knew him while you had your time in Canberra. I'll just read out a few of the tributes that we've had. Malcolm Turnbull, shocked and very sad to learn of Simon Crean's death. His life cut short too soon was filled with achievement for his members, his party and his country. Our local MP and Energy Minister Tom Koutsantonis tweeted, Simon Crean was a good and decent man. He deserved better from us, better from Labor, and he deserved longer with his family. And former Prime Minister Julia Gillard, I'm shocked to learn of the passing of Simon Crean, a man who dedicated his life to Labor values. He hated injustice and fought hard to bring opportunity to all. He took his work seriously, but was also caring, sociable and fun.
His biggest passion was what I guess you could call the dignity of work, wanting to get as many people into jobs. And he had a very commendably old-fashioned sense of apprenticeships and training and the role that they would play. I mean, there's this sort of trendy, I think the pretentious word for it is credentialism, this idea that everybody has somehow failed in life if they haven't got a university degree. Crean, when he did the Working Nation scheme for the Keating government, even though it was very much when the Keating government was in its death throes ahead of Howard's win in 1996, but a lot of that was a sort of TAFE-oriented focus on, the sorts of skills that you in the 60s were taught at places like Mitchell Park Tech. Old-fashioned boiler making and plumbing and stuff like that is still the bedrock of work for a lot of people. He came to the Labor leadership at a time too when Labor's stocks could not have been any lower. After Howard won in '96, very quickly ended up with a huge stronghold on the nation, ruling for 11 years straight. So it was Kim Beazley who lost in '98 narrowly, the GST election, and then 2001 was disastrous for Labor, obviously, after September 11. There was that huge sense of aversion to change. So Crean drew the short straw of leading Labor from 2001 to 2003. He really failed to get any cut through given the politics at that time. And when he quit, Australia dodged a bullet because Mark Latham became leader after that, and mercifully Howard saw him off in 2004. A lot of people would regard Crean's speech and at the time it was regarded as risky politically. I think now, given the debacle that was Iraq and everything that's followed since that ill-fated war, when you listen to Simon Crean here speaking against Labor supporting the US-led war in Iraq, he sounds like a very prescient figure.
Now, the Australian perspective is bound to differ from time to time with the perspective of the United States. And of course, on occasions, friends do disagree, as we did on this side with you on the war in Iraq. But such is the strength of our shared values, our interests, our principles, that those differences can enrich rather than diminish. They can strengthen rather than weaken the partnership.
It was a great speech, and the thing that made it even more interesting was that George W. Bush was there at the time on a visit to Australia, so it was a direct, sorry mate, but we're not backing you on this one. But 74, as we said earlier, it's young these days, isn't it? 74. It sounds like you've been robbed of many more happy years. So taken too soon, but a really great Australian, Simon Crean.
Yeah, thoughts are with his wife and his family. Just to round out our 7 o'clock wrap of the morning, got some royal news, Dave.
Oh, excellent.
And I've combined a few people who I love in this world with tennis and royal news. Honestly, what I wouldn't give to have been on this court over the weekend. Kate Middleton and Roger Federer meeting some Wimbledon ball boys on centre court. Roger Federer and Kate Middleton, of course, Prince William's wife, had a hit on centre court. Then they went through a bit of a trial run on court of being a ball kid. And then they attended a group training session. In this bit of audio, Roger's hitting the ball on court and Kate reaches out and grabs it with one arm.
And caught it.
Caught it very skillfully. She's a very skillful sportswoman. This is how it happened.
Oh. Good catch.
Are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, are you allowed to do that? That's good.
In Australia they would catch it, but here in Wimbledon they don't.
Yeah, you're not meant to catch it, you're meant to let it bounce and then get it, but good catch. Any tips on my serve at the same time were very helpful.
The serve looks good.
So my cousin's been a ball boy at the Australian Open for the past 4 years.
Oh, really?
And they are allowed, if it comes towards you at the back of the service line, you can catch it. But at Wimbledon, you've got to let it hit the back sort of wall.
Oh, really? Why? What's the...
I don't know. Wimbledon law. You know, it's a historical tournament, so I would have loved anything to be the person filming that,
Is
the person
Federer still
organising
playing?
that.
He's retired, hasn't he?
He's 40 and he's retired. He had his battles with knee injury, so he sadly won't be at Wimbledon, but the video is just... If you just want something to cheer you up, a good royal story, have a YouTube search of Kate Middleton, Roger Federer at Wimbledon.
Has your cousin ever been shouted at by Nick Kyrgios or Novak Djokovic? Has he ever had a tennis ball belted at him in anger? Or...
I don't think so. Harry's been on a lot of the big games. He was on a couple of finals this year, but I don't think he's been absolutely yelled at. Harry is he's 16 and about 6'4", so he's the tallest ball kid out there.
They pay them, don't they?
We won't go into that. Short answer is no.
Seriously?
In other royal news, just
they don't
briefly. No, they get something at the end of the tournament, like a decent present. One year they got a GoPro. They get merch. They get all this other stuff, but it's not a...
Not a proper
not a 2-week, here's your casual
Wait,
money type
really?
situation at
Wow.
the Australian Open.
That's amazing.
As far as I know, I'm happy to be corrected. In other overnight royal news, the Duchess of York, former wife of Prince Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, fondly known as Fergie, she has revealed she underwent a successful breast cancer operation recently. She was diagnosed during a routine mammogram. She's been discharged from hospital. It was successful and now is recovering at home. Her reps have said that she was otherwise symptoms-free of any illness. So had she not had the mammogram, they wouldn't have picked up anything.
Wow.
So it's a message to all women out there to go and have your breasts checked.
absolutely.
And if Fergie can do it, so can you. Coming up shortly, we will chat with Rowie. We'll go through some of your Dutton's text lines. We've got some good Aussie words coming in. There's one here, sick, S-I-C. Someone says, my grandkids use it when they're excited about something.
Yeah,
sick.
that's sick.
That's
like
sick.
You know, someone's new outfit is sick, or a new
Right.
video game is sick.
Right.
Someone's got a sick haircut.
Yeah,
I
right.
would have thought if you had a sick haircut, not,
Isn't that bad?
see your doctor about it.
Keep your texts coming in, folks. 0448 08 1395. Jump on to the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook live stream. Leave your comments there. We'll get to some more of them after the break. But first of all, let's check traffic. Car battery slow to start. Search RAA battery. Battery replacement only available to RAA road service holders. T's and C's apply.
Pretty wet on the roads this morning, so take care and drive to the conditions. In Kingsford, there's a crash on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels, so take Green Hill Road instead. In Salisbury South, a burst water main on Kings Road near Crosskeys Road. Another at Erbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Is your car ready for the winter roads? If not, get it serviced by the CanStar award-winning team at UltraTune, voted #1 again. Call or search UltraTune today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Matthew Pantelis.
Last Friday night was our Best of SA dinner, and I met Michael Duragon, who's the CEO and founder of Bring Back Australia app.
We want to get consumers to know what they're buying, and people struggle to know what's Australian-owned anymore. So we've made a simple app.
Weekday mornings from 9
If you care about where your money goes, Bring Back Australia is the app.
on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA.
Tax time is ending soon at Bunnings Trade with less than 1 week to go. Get in quick for amazing value on the AEG 18-volt Fusion 10-piece Mega Kit, just $1,999. That's over $3,500 worth of tools for just $1,999. Plus, purchase before June 30 and get your choice of AEG framing nailer skin, Fusion lawnmower skin or 4 5-amp force batteries via redemption. Don't miss out this tax time at Bunnings Trade. Helping business is our trade.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide Tech Guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
We all want more time to do the things that really matter. Fortunately, Harvey Norman, your premium Optus dealer, has a great offer that will give you more time, literally. Right now, you can pick up the Samsung Galaxy S23 with 128 gigs and 5G for $0 up front when you connect to a new Optus $69 per month SIM-only plan for 24 months. And the real kicker is you'll receive a bonus Galaxy Watch 5 LTE via redemption. This watch is great for sleep tracking, health and wellness monitoring, plus it has a 13% longer lasting battery for everyday use. What a great bonus. This amazing offer ends July 3rd. Minimum cost $1,656, not available with other offers. In-store only, cancellation fees, terms and conditions apply.
Check out this great offer at a Harvey Norman store near you.
Now, don't let the name fool you. Adelaide Direct Stationers might be all Adelaide and very direct, but they're much more than just stationery.
They are a through-and-through South Aussie owned and operated family business, serving our largest businesses for over 25 years.
And they're one of South Australia's largest suppliers of tech products, washroom products, PPE, workplace health and safety gear, office furniture, food, snacks, beverages, and so much more.
Whatever you need, they've got it, and they'll get it to you faster than you can say please with same-day 2-hour express delivery. That's right, same-day 2-hour express delivery.
So head online to browse more than 30,000 products and get them delivered direct, quick as a flash.
Visit AdelaideDirectStationers.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
7:24. David, shall we quickly run through some of these words on the text line? Grouse, mulga, bonza.
Bonza.
Surely our next guest has used a fair few in his footy commentary time.
Stephen Lowe on 5AA Breakfast.
Morning to you, Rowie.
Only one club worse to lose like that to, and that's Port. I know there's the 24-hour rule. I'm not going to abide by it. I never do. Oh, God, that was heartbreaking. We started well, got smoked. I think they got to 35 points up. We then just played some scintillating footy, kicked 8 straight, only to be cheated out of it in the end, I reckon. There you are. I've said it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that hit on Dawson at the end, my God, yeah. But
it's a free kick all day, every day.
Of course it is. But you can't isolate one part of the game. I don't think, Rowie. All the inaccuracy in the first
I know
quarter,
you can't, and it's.
But it still sticks in your craw. It felt like we deserved to win.
Well, tell me this: did the best team win on the weekend?
Well, that third quarter, and I was talking to Sam Daddo before, who worked with you yesterday. He said, and he's a Port nut. I won't quite say what he said to me. He said he was almost barracking for Adelaide with the way they were playing football. But it's just it feels like, we've had this conversation before. We're having the same conversation after the 1 point loss to them last time. It's like a recurring nightmare.
Yeah, but look. The glass is half full. To be able to play that powerful footy with that young group on that oval against a team that's probably one of the premiership favourites is outstanding. They still sit 8th on the ladder. They're still in the 8th. But here's the disappointment that comes for me. It could have been 5th, and it's going to be a bloody tight year. And they're good enough now to make the 8th. There's no question about that. St Kilda sit 5th with 32 points. From then to FIVEAA, who are 11th on 28 points, are 7 teams. 7 teams. There's a positive for the Crows. Of those 7, they've got the best percentage. But that's how important that game was in the end. It was just... God, they lost to 1 point round 7, now 2 points there. They're the Masters Magpies, and full credit to them, because there'll be Collingwood supporters. Without the Dacos brothers and more, you guys are nothing, you Collingwood knockers that got on the phone afterwards and sent texts and all that sort of stuff, and mates of mine that are Collingwood, you're nothing. They're 3 father-sons. I mean, if the father-son rule, let's go way back. If the father-son rule was the same for VFL teams as it was for SANFL, we'd have won 10 flags in a row, you clown heads.
I don't think I've been witness to you so fired up,
I haven't gotten over it, have I?
I'm excited.
I don't think anyone's got over it yet. And I don't think Nixie's got over it yet. Geez, that press conference after the game, he looked absolutely gutted. But the thing now is, looking ahead at the rest of the schedule for the year, so we've got to play Melbourne at the MCG, got to play Brisbane at the Gabba. If we're any good, and we were so close to being that good enough yesterday, they're the sort of games we've got to start saying they're must-win games, not, geez, the boys did well but didn't quite get there.
Correct. And that's where it's heading, Pembo. My mum used to always say to me when I grizzled about having a sore throat or a broken leg or someone broke my ribs or someone punched me in the nose, son, there's always someone worse than you. Well, the Eagles are. How was that?
That was
I had
sad.
a look at their stats. Well, it is. They lost by 171 points. I mean, even Hawthorn beat them by over 100. We did by 122. They've won 3 of their last 40 games.
Rowie, the Eagles
I mean, talk about bottoming out.
Are you backing him in till his end of contract, Adam Simpson, which is end of 2025?
Yeah, absolutely I am. It's a collective, Lucy. It's not all his fault. Look, they played with no vigour or anything I think it was Saturday, that game. Look, a lot of people just immediately...
You worry about the psychological damage it's doing to that group, though. Like, there was footage that I didn't see, but my teenage son, Jim, was saying he saw some of the young players were just sitting there crying after the game. Like, it must just be so soul-destroying.
Oh, God, it's terrible. Well, at least the Crows didn't bottom out like that. They got some soul-searching to do there. Hey, Timmy G is on a well-earned break, like Will. I'm with Treaders. from 4 o'clock today. So tune in. We'll just see how tenable his week will be with me, hey?
Let's see if you throw any more pens tonight, Rowie. Thank you. Tune in 4 till 6 with Rowie and Treaders all this week. $17 schnitty Monday to Wednesday at the Albion, Birkenhead Tavern, Excelsior and Lighthouse Wharf. You just know it is a Barrow hotel. We're coming back with David's truffle hunting review after the 7:30 news.
Hi Adelaide, this is Tom Burlinson.
Start spreading the news. I'm proud to present my brand new show, all of Sinatra's greatest hits. That's right. Performed live, as always, with my world-class big band. And did it my way. Tickets on sale now.
Tom Burlinson sings Sinatra, the Capri Theatre, Saturday, September 16. Book now, capri.org.au.
This month, all kids 14 and under get to go to the footy for free.
What about that?
That's all games between rounds 16 and 19 of the 2023 Toyota AFL Premiership season. From selfies to screamers and tasty treats.
Spectacular!
Make it an awesome day for the family with a day out at the footy. Kids go free rounds 16 to 19.
Go to afl.com.au/kidsmonth. Terms and conditions apply, subject to capacity and availability.
Over 60,000 Adelaide homes have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. What's keeping you?
That's right. If you're hoping to save money on heating this winter, your energy saving solutions can connect you with the SA government initiative called REPS. This means you might be eligible for a 2.6 kilowatt Rinnai system fully installed for only $699. That's right, $699.
Did you know you might be eligible for a rebate on a new appliance like a dryer or a fridge? Just visit the Yes website, that's YESS website, for a list of appliances and the size of the cashback available. Even businesses can save with Yes, with rebates available on LED lighting upgrades for as little as $33.
So for T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from your energy saving solutions, go to their website, yess.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 16 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. physioextra.com.
The political community's in shock after the sudden death of a former Labor leader. More from Katie Fuller.
Simon Crean was on a business trip in Germany when he died suddenly. He was a key figure within the Labor and Union movement, holding the Victorian seat of Hotham from 1990 to 2013. Mr Crean was leader of the Federal Labor Party between 2001 and 2003 while in opposition. There's overwhelming grief from all political quarters. In a statement, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he's shocked and saddened by the news, adding Mr Crean gave a lifetime of service to his nation. Opposition leader Peter Dutton is describing him as a gentleman and giant of the Labor movement. He was 74.
Support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament continues to slide. The move only has the backing of 43% of people, according to the latest news poll. 47% reject the advisory body being enshrined in the Constitution. A referendum is due for later this year. The state opposition wants an update on the government's school crossing program. Budget papers have revealed there's been a delay to high priority school crossing upgrades, with some not to be completed till June next year. Shadow Minister Vincent Tarzia says there have been several serious crashes this year and children are at risk.
But we've seen the evidence and it's clear. The Centre for Automotive Safety Research actually says that there's a 21% reduction in serious injury crash detections when there is a red light fixed camera being installed. And a year delay to this crossing program is a failure by the government because it just means that children could face additional risk on our roads.
The first funeral for victims of the New South Wales Hunter Valley bus crash will be held this morning. A close friend of the groom, 28-year-old Angus Craig, will be farewelled. It comes as a sellout charity concert was held last night to raise funds for survivors. Residents are on watch and act alert amid fears 2 dams could fail if there's more heavy rain. Crews continue to monitor the Hope Forest and Basket Range dams. Some nearby property owners have been told they may need to evacuate, and several roads have been closed in the areas. The US Coast Guard's prioritising the recovery of items from the ocean floor as attention turns to the cause of the Titan submersible implosion. The results of a major investigation will be shared with the UN and other international agencies in a bid to prevent similar disasters. Rear Admiral John Morga has provided a final update on the initial search operation.
The discovery of the Titan submersible wreckage marked the conclusion of the search and rescue aspect of this incident. The Coast Guard has officially convened a Marine Board of Investigation into the loss of the submersible and the 5 people on board.
1 person has been killed and 9 others injured in a roller coaster accident at an amusement park in Sweden. The jetline ride partially came off the tracks mid-ride. The park is closed until further notice. And there's a mystery buyer for the mothballed Star Observation Wheel in Melbourne. Administrators are reportedly in the advanced stages of selling the tourist attraction, which stopped turning almost 2 years ago. However, there's no word on whether the buyer wants to buy it as a going concern or tear it down and move it to a new site, either here or overseas. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide midfielder Ben Keys could face a fine after a fiery encounter against Collingwood at the MCG. Pies big man Mason Cox was taunting the Crows after booting a goal in the final term, which prompted Keys to come in where he appeared to flick Cox's goggles off his head. Collingwood won the match by 2 points in a result which leaves the Crows in 8th spot, just percentage ahead of Geelong, who was sitting in 9th. Well, Australia's in the box seat ahead of the final day of the Women's Ashes Test, thanks to spinner Ashley Gardner. England finishing at 5 for 116 at stumps, needing another 152 for what would be a record run chase. Australian opener Beth Mooney says Gardner's 3 late wickets on day 4 have swung the match in their favour.
We know that she can settle into one end in this format and bowl the ball in the right areas exactly where we want it. So it's a lot of reward for a serious amount of hard work that she's put in.
Let's go to golf. A week after missing the cut at the US Open, American Keegan Bradley has bounced back in emphatic fashion, taking out the Travellers' Championship in Connecticut by 3 shots. A tap-in par on the last, enough for the 37-year-old to claim his 6th PGA Tour win.
New England's very own takes the title at the Travellers.
Audio there thanks to Fox. Aussie Minwoo Lee continued his impressive form, finishing 6 shots back in a tie for 9th. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
In Kingsford, there's a crash on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels. Take Greenhill Road instead. In Salisbury South, there's a burst water main on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road. Another at Erbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Aussie-owned The Lottery Office has a massive $658 million up for grabs in the USA Power Lotto. Visit lotteryoffice.com.au now before it's gone. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automaster's technician.
A shower or two and 16, more of the same tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15, and a shower or two Thursday, 14. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
FIVEAA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
7:37 on this Monday morning. Good morning to you. Currently 11.5 degrees in the city. Feels like 11.2. We're only going up to 15 today. Nice and fresh.
It was nice and fresh on Friday, I can tell you, Luce. Straight after the show, had the great pleasure of jumping in my car and driving down to the beautiful town of Myponga, a little way south of Myponga. In fact, just everyone who goes down there to visit the Flurio or heading down to travel over to KI, you know that wonderful bit where you're heading south, you get through Myponga, you've got the bulk of the Myponga Reservoir on your right, but you've got that beautiful little inlet there on the left. Well, tucked in there's a place called Hyson Retreat, which is an absolutely beautiful bed and breakfast owned by the wonderful Greg and Jane, who about, I think it was only about 10, not even 10 years ago, they decided that they were going to put in some oak trees, some French oak, some English oak, but not just any oak trees that had been inoculated with the truffle spores, truffles being just behind saffron is the most expensive foodstuff in the world, setting you back a cool $2,500 a kilo. And these trees have taken like a treat, and it's at this time of year in the depths of winter when Warren and Dean get to do their amazing work with their canine companions, Ruby and Gus. Together, the four of them make up the Adelaide Hills Truffle Dogs, and we've got Warren on the line. Hey, Warren, great to be talking to you again, mate. That was such a good day Friday. I loved every minute of it.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. No, it was a great day, and I'm very appreciative that you can make it down there. It's something we really enjoy and want to show off to the rest of South Australia when we can.
Well, that was the thing that I thought was so infectious, mate. Watching you and Dean out there. Your dog is Ruby. She's a red cattle dog, isn't she?
Actually, a Coolie, which looks like a bit like a Kelpie. They're her own breed, but very much a farm dog. So she's very much a working dog.
And Gus, as in fungus, appropriately enough.
That's right.
The Labrador. Those dogs, though, like and Ruby was jumping around like a crazy thing at the start. She was really itching to get out there and start finding the truffles.
She loves it. The off-season for her, which is from September to pretty much start of June, is very long for her. She can't wait for June to come around and get stuck into it. That's all she lives for.
So, Warren, I think this was the first truffle hunt of the season. Is that right? How successful was it for the first one?
Well, this was our first truffle tour. We started about 2 weeks ago, but David was lucky enough to come around for our first tour. And we had a great day, actually. I think we pulled in, with David's excellent measuring skills, almost 2.8 kilos.
Yeah, it was 2.8 in the bucket, which is about $6,000 worth of truffle.
Oof.
And the interesting thing is, was it Amanda, the chef, who was there?
Yes. Yep.
She was sort of jokingly comparing herself to a drug dealer, because she said that once the truffles were being picked, because she's got a heap of mates who are chefs and winemakers down in the Southern Vales, she was sending out group texts to a friend saying, "Hey guys, we got truffles, who wants them?" And the phone was going ping, 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 and they're all being bought up in real time.
That's exactly right. They call it the key to the kitchen. If you're a truffle farmer, pretty much any chef worth their salt is happy to get in contact with you ASAP to get their hands on them first. And that was shown on Friday with the manager's phone going crazy.
Yeah. So, mate, the way you and I got to know each other was about 3 months ago. We were just talking on air about whether there was a truffle industry in South Australia, and it was your partner Dean who called in that day, and we did an interview with him on the show. Is it still at the hobby stage for people in South Australia, or is it starting to become a bit of an industry?
It is very much at the hobby stage still. Having said that, when we first started this journey about 5 years ago, we had no idea what to expect in Adelaide. And now we service about 20 farms, and these farms range from Greg and Jane's 50 trees up to 1,000 trees. The more years that go by, it will become a commercial venture for a lot of these people, and it's starting to get that point now. But like we said on Friday, there is no guarantee in this industry. You might pull out one truffle a year or 10 or 20 kilo.
What do you reckon? It's very hard to describe the flavour. How would you describe it, mate?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one for me. It's very earthy flavoured to me. And obviously, as we discussed on Friday, I made the grave decision of cooking one day in hot oil. And I was told that the best way to do it is just have it as a garnish on top of any warm dish and let the dish bring the flavour to it. So,
scrambled eggs or polenta or something like that?
Yeah. We had scrambled eggs on Friday, and obviously you could taste it. It's not an overpowering taste, but it just adds that bit of extra luxury element to the dish.
Well, mate, it was a terrific amount of fun, and I'm keen to make it an annual event if I'm going to be invited back. I was being extremely meticulous when I was digging them out of the ground. I didn't want to stuff anything up, given how much they're worth.
We were very impressed by your hunting skills and your digging skills. To us, it's like finding buried treasure.
Totally.
And we're glad that we got to experience that on Friday.
Oh, it's fascinating. Good on you, mate. We'll catch up again soon. Warren and... Sorry, mate?
Just quickly, Dave, how's your fridge smelling? Has it got that good smell to it? Or?
You know, I had to put it in the beer fridge because it was in the fridge, and Kate said to me, she goes, the whole house is going to smell like that if we don't move it. It's just extraordinary. So what I did, I've actually put it in a Tupperware container with a dozen eggs that I got from the local butcher, really good free-range eggs from good quality meats, but the truffle smell is being absorbed by the eggs. I'm going to use those eggs to make some pasta carbonara and then shave it on top. So Mum and Dad are going to have a bit of a treat when they come around for dinner tonight.
Sounds great. Glad you enjoyed the day.
Good on you, mate. We'll catch up soon.
Cheers, thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Warren. That's Warren and his partner Dean from Adelaide Hills Truffle Dogs. Great little enterprise, because the way they work, Luce, is these guys are just the hunters with their dogs.
Foragers, do we say?
Well, it's not really foraging, because you sort of know, like it's a French word, brûler. There's I don't know, what does brûler mean in French? Like, because it's from creme brulee, like the...
Yeah, it's a verb, brûler, B-R-U-L-E-R, and then the brulee and creme brulee is like burnt sugar, so it's...
Yeah, right.
Carry on, I could go on for days.
Maybe it does mean burnt, because what happens is where the truffles are growing is in the root system of the oak tree, and grass doesn't grow around the drip line of the tree, so you get this almost like a spaceship's landed there sort of circle, where the truffle has sucked all the life out of the soil, meaning that the grass won't live. So you look at those trees and you go, there's going to be a truffle there. It's incredible.
Wow. I've just looked up brûlée in the French dictionary. Burn, blaze, be on fire, set fire to, scold,
Well, that makes
singe.
sense. Yeah, because it's like this perfect circle where there's no grass.
Yeah, there you go. Truffles.
Amazing.
Well, I hope you're going to bring some of that carbonara in for the rest of the team, mate. We didn't get to go, so Sam and I are pretty keen to try.
Making carbonara, not that it's a remotely difficult recipe, but doing it during the actual program might be a bit tricky.
Hey, Chris Jarmer does his Food and Wine show every Friday with Jade Robin,
that's
so
true. That's true.
I don't want to challenge you, but I might have to at some point. Hey, some music news from over the weekend. The Glastonbury Festival in England, very famous in the southwest of England. There was a special surprise guest there. A trend on social media recently has been Rick Rolled. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yeah. Well,
So you send a link and it's just a video of Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up.
That song.
Anyway,
Oh, God.
Rick Astley himself appeared at Glastonbury.
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. I'm never gonna give you up. I'm never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna desert you. I'm never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna
He does go in to sing the full song after that, but he's crowdsourcing from the old
That
Glastonbury.
sounded terrific, didn't it?
100,000 people there at Glastonbury.
Wow.
Now, the crowd is important for this next act. Lewis Capaldi, 26-year-old Scottish singer-songwriter, played a lot of hits in the last probably 5 or so years. He gets played a lot on the FM stations.
This is the guy who's got Tourette syndrome.
He's coming to Australia and he has Tourette's. Now, at Glastonbury, he's been very open with his Tourette's. He's a really casual kind of guy. All his interviews are sort of very upfront and very laid back. And he struggled with some Tourette's syndrome while he was on stage at Glastonbury singing his favourite song. So the crowd helped him out. This is quite emotional, actually.
just to know.
Very poignant. For a good sort of 2 minutes, he was struggling with his sort of his tics and his lyrics, and the crowd just purely took over. It was a beautiful moment. 100,000 people at Glastonbury.
It is bloody terrible, isn't it? Like the way the human mind works. That there's a condition like that, frankly, is regarded by a lot of people as inherently comical, and to be afflicted by that, knowing that that's why that crowd doing what they did is such a nice rejoinder to that mentality that, I mean, there's videos on YouTube of people like having massive, and it's always the sweary stuff.
Yeah.
The views on them off the charts because they're sort of sent around as, you know, a form of comedy. But it's a bloody horrible thing, isn't it?
Excellent videos to see of that at Glastonbury. Just look it up, Lewis Capaldi. I think he's having a bit of a break for mental health reasons, understandably, but very, very moving moment. The final musical story over the weekend I wasn't aware of until I read the Advertiser this morning. Yesterday marked the anniversary of Michael Jackson's death. It's been 14 years, 25th of June, 14 years since Michael Jackson died, 2009. Anyway, if you turn to page 36 of the Advertiser today, to the tributes death notices page, someone's put a tribute to Michael Jackson in today's Advertiser.
Really?
14 years and 1 day. It says, in loving memory of Michael Jackson, humanitarian and king of pop.
Humanitarian? I would question the use of the word humanitarian.
1958 to 2009, gone too soon. There's just a little, because I was scrolling through the paper.
There were a certain category of humans that he did like.
Scrolling through the paper, they've included a little picture of Michael Jackson, and I zoomed in to double check, and his death anniversary was yesterday, in fact. But there is a lovely tribute to Michael Jackson on page 36 of today's Advertiser.
Well, you know, let's run one for Jimmy Savile as well while we're at it.
Well,
you know, maybe a Rolf Harris tribute too. Seriously? I mean, great musician in a league of his own, but dead set. Like, the guy had more issues than the Reader's Digest.
On that note, let's check some traffic. Car battery slow to start. Search RAA battery. Battery replacement only available to RAA road service holders. T's and C's apply.
Roads are pretty wet this morning, so take care and drive to the conditions. In Kingsford, there's a crash on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels. In Salisbury South, a burst water main on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road causing delays. Another at Urbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Ultratune has won the CanStar Car Servicing Award for customer satisfaction and value for money for the 4th year running. Call or search Australia's #1 Ultratune today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. On time, on budget, on the job.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem, or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware, and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
If you're looking for exceptional value for money in a new car with all the features, you'll find it in a new or demo Cherry Emoda 5 from Cherry Glen Osmond. It is such an impressive motor vehicle. The tech alone in the Cherry Emoda 5 is light years ahead of any car in its class. It has all your standard luxuries, including customizable voice commands. You can say things like, "I'm cold," which I regularly say, and the Emoda 5 will turn up the heat. Tell it that you are hot and the temperature will drop. The list just goes on. And all from just $33,000 drive away with immediate delivery. Even less for a demo model, available right now. Plus, the Cherry Emoda 5 comes with a 7-year warranty, 5-star safety and fixed price servicing. Book a test drive, visit gocherry.com.au or call into Cherry Glen Osmond on Glen Osmond Road next to Formula Honda.
Eagle Caravans and Campers premium Australian-made Pacific caravans on sale now with up to $8,000 off. Full off-road and off-grid capabilities packed with features and up to $8,000 off. But hurry, only 2 available with stylish interiors and high-end finishes. 2 Pacific caravans available immediately and up to $8,000 off RRP. Don't miss this exceptional value. Call Eagle Caravans and Campers now.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens may not be for everyone. Oh, look, if you're happy with a flat-pack kitchen, things not lining up and not looking like you thought it might, that's okay. And if millimetre-perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standard is not your thing, that's okay too. But if it is, buyurban.com.au. Adelaide's home renovation experts.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube.
5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The FIVEAA Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
It is 7:53. If you know someone who would benefit from a brand new computer, then simply head to 5AA.com.au to enter, all thanks to Leader Computers, the largest 100% Australian computer brand based right here in SA. Don't forget you can join in this morning on the Duttons text line 0448 08 1395. Have we got some texts there, Dave?
We have. One here I'm going to mention after breaking at 8 from Jack about the Voice. Voters tired of being shamed by Albo about the Voice, on which he is hiding detail. We've had a few texts from other listeners as well. This is in relation to the news poll on the front of the Australian, showing that the level of voter support for the Voice is very much on the slide. If the referendum had been held over the weekend, it would not have got up. Wouldn't have even gone close to getting up. Going to have a bit more to say about that after 8 o'clock. And one here, nice glass half full assessment of the terrible events at the MCG yesterday. It's not soul destroying, it's character building. You learn more from your losses than your wins.
That's a fair point.
One way to look at it, I guess.
Duttons text line. Check out all of the end of FIVEAA offers at Duttons dealerships in Mount Barker and Murray Bridge. Now, David, I am going to comply with one of your requests. Sam's cut me some nice French accordion cafe music there.
Bit of Charles Aznavour. Is that his name? Charles Aznavour?
Sure. John Blake is having a well-deserved 2 weeks off as well. So instead of our 750 Blakey segment this week, I'm going to read a few sentences from my favourite childhood book, Madeline.
Oh, I thought it was Le Petit Prince.
I do have that.
Madeline.
I bought this one in Paris, I think, on my first trip. I bought this at the Louvre bookshop when I was 16.
In an old house in Paris covered in vines lived a girl by the name of Madeline. That's the opening 2 lines, isn't it?
Of the TV equivalent. Mm. You got the first line correct in English, so I won't even read that. I'll go to the next one.
Is this the French book, though?
This is the French book. Yeah, it's all in French.
How do you say her name in French?
Madeline.
No, you don't say
Madeline.
Madeline. That's the Australian pronunciation.
Madeline, probably.
Well, it'd probably be Maddie.
Maddie. Mads.
Mads, the Madster.
Mads, your hair looks sick today.
We've taken such beautiful, lilting words and done terrible things to them in this country, haven't we?
The Madeline film actually was the first film I ever saw at the cinema as a young girl.
Really?
First film I saw with my parents at the cinema. I remember it quite vividly, actually.
We'll take that one out of the movie bowl then.
Yeah, the movie bowl is coming up after 8:20 today. Madeline is not in it, I can tell you that.
Right. Lay some French on us, Lise.
À Paris, dans une vieille maison au mur recouvert de vignes.
Something about wine?
No, vigne is
vine,
so in the house covered in vines. Vivaient 12 petites filles, lived 12 little girls.
Douze.
Douze.
Douze. D-E-U-X?
D-O-U-Z-E.
Rightio.
This is going well. Sur 2 rangs, elles déjeunaient.
Morning? Déjeuner?
No. Oh, yes, they ate breakfast together in 2 rows.
Déjeuner.
Se brossaient les dents, brushed their teeth. Et puis, se couchaient, and they slept.
Coucher.
Elles souriaient quand il convenait, se renfrognaient s'il le fallait, et à l'occasion s'attristaient. That means
Magnifique.
They smiled when it suited them. Sometimes they frowned, and in occasion, sometimes they were upset.
And you're listening to 5EBI. Hey, that was excellent.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, look, give us another stanza.
All right. À 9h30, elle partait se promener parfaitement en rang, sous la pluie ou par beau temps.
Wow.
At 9:30, they left for their walk perfectly in rows, in the rain, or in perfect weather. The French version rhymes so much better than my translations, obviously. But
that was excellent, mate. You've got terrific pronounce.
Well, during the week, we'll read the entire book, and then Emily can come in and do it in German because she's learning German at uni.
Sam, you're going to have to get a language, mate.
Sounds slightly different. Coming up, it is 7:58
G'day,
on your Monday morning. Coming up is Breaking at 8, and then the movie bowl when Madeline is not
Foreign language
a part
poetry
of.
corner. What about that? I might bring in a Pablo Neruda book later in the beak.
If anyone else wants to read a bit of Madeline in their chosen language, we welcome it. Someone ring up and do it in Australian if you must. We're talking Aussie language this morning. Give us a ring, 8223 0000. We'll be back for Breaking at 8.
Excellent.
Over 5,500 Adelaide businesses have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, your energy saving solutions. What's keeping you? One of the easiest ways to save is by switching out your old lighting to energy efficient LEDs. An on-site assessment can help to design the perfect LED lighting system for your business. And with rebates available, a full upgrade might cost as little as $33. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from your energy saving solutions, go to yes.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
You've decided to build? It's exciting stuff. When you've found land, it's a good idea to get advice on what you can build on your new parcel of paradise. Get Steve from Beechwood Homes to take a look. There's no obligation, and you'll get a great understanding of what's possible. Sloping block, flat block, weird shaped block, or block on a cliff. Speak with Steve from Beechwood Homes for all the possibilities. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
G'day everyone, Cornsey here. Now, I know a great team when I see one, and the South Australian hydraulic team I rate the highest is BL Shipway. I've known them for a long time. David Shipway is one of the best blokes you'll ever meet. BL Shipway, they've been looking after your hydraulic and pneumatic needs since 1953 with brands like Ryco, Rexroth, Enerpac, Hydac, Oilpath, EasyFit and many more. And if you can't get to them, they'll send a Ryco 24/7 van to you anytime, anywhere. blshipway.com.au, a South Australian team you can count on.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 16 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Physio Extra now offers holistic lipedema and lymphedema services. Go to physioextra.com for more.
Former Labor leader Simon Crean has died suddenly while on an overseas trip to Germany. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has told today his death is a shock.
He had respect across the spectrum. He engaged constructively. He was someone who was warm and friendly. He's someone who gave me advice as the Labor leader.
A new opinion poll shows support for The Voice continues to slide. Michael Packy has details.
The referendum to enshrine an Indigenous voice to Parliament would fail if the vote were to be held this weekend. The latest news poll shows support has slumped to 43%, while the no camp is on 47%. At least 4 states oppose the introduction of the advisory body, with New South Wales and Victoria the only jurisdictions to support the move. The opposition and independent Senator Lydia Thorpe are urging the government to delay the referendum for this year and go back to the drawing board. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese maintains the vote will be held in either October, November or December.
Police are investigating a suspicious house fire at Fitzroy last night. Senior Constable Kate Dawson says it broke out on Martin Avenue.
The home was vacant, but when emergency services arrived, the home was fully engulfed in flames. The MFS were quickly able to extinguish that blaze, but significant damage was caused to the premises. So our fire cause investigators attended the scene to assist with the investigation, and they believe that the fire was deliberately lit.
Emergency crews are keeping a close eye on 2 SA dams at high risk of failure following a week of heavy rain. One's at Hope Forest and the other's at Basket Range on Lobethal Road. Roads in the area have been closed and property owners at risk notified. Upgrades to SA school crossings, including adding red light cameras, may not be finished until June next year. Budget papers revealed upgrades to the school crossing program have been delayed by up to a year. Shadow Minister for Road Safety Vincent Tarzia says that's despite a serious accident at Marriotteville earlier this year, which left 2 students in hospital.
I drive through that intersection every single day. I often see near collisions, and look, this comes back to priorities for this government. So they've got to get on with finishing this review, releasing the review so that we can all see it, and make sure that they put a fixed light camera there, because it is certainly warranted at Marriotteville.
There's still huge uncertainty over the future of Vladimir Putin's leadership a day after the aborted uprising. More from Brett McLeod.
Vladimir Putin has not been seen in public since the rebellion ended. There has been a television interview which appeared to have been recorded before the military challenge led by Yevgeny Prigozhin. And the leader of the Wagner private army has himself been out of sight after agreeing to pull back his Moscow-bound forces in return for exile in Belarus. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the 24-hour drama shows real cracks in the Russian leadership after the greatest threat to Putin's grip on power. President Biden has spoken to Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, who says they discussed the hostilities in Russia.
The US Coast Guard is launching a high-level investigation into the implosion of a sub in the Atlantic Ocean which killed 5 men. Authorities aren't ruling out criminal charges. Sarah Ferguson has been treated for breast cancer at a London hospital. The Duchess of York has undergone surgery and will now recover at home with her family. Doctors say her prognosis is good. And the Princess of Wales has kept up with tennis champion Roger Federer at the Bowl Boys and Girls Training Facility ahead of Wimbledon.
Good catch.
Are you allowed to do that?
Oh yeah, are you allowed to do that? That's
in
good point.
Australia they would catch it, but here in Wimbledon they don't.
Yeah, you're not meant to catch it, you're meant to let it bout and then get it, but good catch.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide's Ben Keys could be punished by the match review officer for stripping Collingwood's Mason Cox of his glasses during yesterday's fiery clash at the MCG. Jordan Tunbridge reports.
Mason Cox taunted Adelaide opponents when he booted a crucial goal during last night's 2-point win at the MCG.
And there's a bit of push and shove and a bit of argy-bargy.
The Magpies forward was targeted from behind by Crows midfielder Ben Keys, who ripped off his prescription goggles.
The sunnies have come off. Wow! Oh, look out! This is a brouhaha.
Attention turns to the match review officer, who could hand down a hefty penalty for the act rarely seen on a football field.
There's a few fines about to be dished out. Where are the specs gone? Mason Cox in the thick of the action. He's lost his shades.
And there was one other game to wrap up round 15 yesterday, with Gold Coast keeping in touch with the top 8 with a 67-point demolition of Hawthorn. Let's go to tennis, and Alex de Minaur's runner-up finish at the Queen's Club Championship has secured him a top 16 seeding for Wimbledon. The Aussie went down to world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz in the final in London. De Minaur heads to the All-England club full of confidence, but says his seeding won't guarantee a deep run.
In theory, you might get a little bit more protected with your seeding, but you can play anyone first round, and it's no secret. There's a lot of very dangerous players that are unseeded.
And Australia needs 5 wickets on the final day of the Women's Ashes Test against England at Trent Bridge, with the home side to resume at 5 for 116, still needing another 152 runs to win. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Look out for a crash at Kingsford on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road. In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stony Rise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels. A few burst water mains about this morning too, one at Davern Park on Wamma Road at Hydesbury Road, another at Salisbury South on Kings Road near Crosskeys Road, and another at Erbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. It's the final week of Amart's end of financial year sale. Save with up to 60% off lounges, dining, bedroom and more. Stores are open late tonight at Amart. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automasters technician.
A shower or two and 16, the same tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15, and a shower or two for Thursday, down to 14. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Love having a good 8 o'clock song to get us up and about this wintry week. Top of 15 to 16 rather today. Top of 15 basically for the rest of the week. Hopefully you are staying warm. You can, of course, watch us on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream, I should say. I'm getting too excited by that pump up music at 8 o'clock. The movie bowl's coming up. David, you get to reveal our two choices today, which is exciting.
Excellent. I didn't get to pick them though, did I?
No one knows what's in there today.
We need to do the big fix at some point.
I don't know.
E.T. in there twice. You've got to watch E.T. at some point.
The big fix. I don't know if that'll happen this close to the middle of the year. I had a text here. Paul from Modbury Heights. Thank you, Paul, for texting on Dutton's text line. By the way, a good movie review for Lucy. She must do the Blues Brothers. Ooh,
you got to do that
thank you, Paul. Yes, Sam's nodding along. I have a feeling, Paul, it will be in the bowl at some point. Paul also says, heard you talking earlier about blood donations. I regularly give plasma once a fortnight. I'm up to 87 donations. We mentioned that if you get a tattoo, you can now donate blood only 7 days after you've had it now instead of 4 months. So that's excellent.
Good news.
If you like to donate blood and also like getting tattoos. But first, I think it is time for Breaking at 8.
Well, the biggest story locally last week involved law and order, with the political argy-bargy over what was being done and indeed whether enough was being done to combat the level of violence and mayhem occurring on the streets of Adelaide, particularly around the North Terrace Bank Street precinct, opposite the railway station there, where a hardcore of ratbags are making life deeply unpleasant, as if to demonstrate the need for a more energetic response from SAPOL. Last week, early in the morning on Thursday, we brought you the news that two women had a brawl outside that 24/7 convenience store there on the corner of Bank Street near the tram stop, and one of them stabbed the other one with a broken beer bottle. Well, I've just been told by a friend who works on North Terrace, and, if a picture tells 1,000 words, the footage that will emerge of this is going to be damning again. We were talking about how hard it is for people in the private sector who are trying to make an honest quid without an adequate level of support from the state in terms of high visibility and 24/7 police presence in the area, about how that's forcing changes to rostering. It's forcing pubs in the area to pay out of their own pockets to beef up their security in the absence of security being provided at the requisite level by the state government. Well, I've been told that same convenience store where barely 72 hours ago was the venue for a stabbing, first thing in the morning, where we're all meant to be reassured, well, the offenders were known to each other, as if you'd sort of, on your way into work, you'd just stroll past it. It's like, there's another stabbing. I'll just tiptoe around that one and keep wandering towards the office. Well, over the weekend, this convenience store has had its entire front window smashed. The whole thing's boarded up. Now, at what point are we going to get a hell of a lot more serious about this? And I know that a lot of people have been critical of SAPOL. They can only do so much with the resources that they're being given by the state government. There's a clear and obvious need for more to be done about this. It's totally unacceptable. And if anybody wants more visual proof of it, wait for the images that you'll see later today when the rest of the media gets onto this story about these poor people running their business who are going to spend today on the phone to their insurers and to their local glaziers about getting their damn window fixed.
Just on that, Dave, I note 9 News brought a story last night about shoplifting. Crime is up, mostly in the CBD, of course, but metro-wide. There was a robbery at a northern suburb service station over the weekend. A Good Samaritan stepped in, but the 9 News revealed some stats about thefts in SA so far in 2023. It is up 25% from this time last year. So so far in 2023, there have been more than 15,000 shoplifts across SA. This time last year, there was 12,000.
The other thing that's up is the no vote in terms of the voice to Parliament here in South Australia. I mentioned this before the 8 o'clock news. So the Australian newspaper has got the exclusive news poll on the front today where they've looked at the nationwide picture. What's really interesting is the South Australian numbers within this. So according to News Poll, at the moment, Victoria and New South Wales look likely to deliver majorities for the yes case. New South Wales 46 yes, 41 no. Victoria 48 yes, 41 no. But Queensland, Western Australia, Tasmania and South Australia. Now this is hugely important because we said earlier in the year analysing this that South Australia was a state which the yes campaign was almost banking as a probable yes. Well, that is not going to happen according to Newspoll. The yes vote in SA stands at 45%. The no vote stands at 46%. Don't know stands at 9%. I'm inclined to count all of the don't knows at this stage as no's. But, you know, the two things that we've said all along about this are, A, you need more detail, and B, good luck trying to do it in the midst of a generational cost of living crisis, where it feels like the more politicians talk about this, the less they're talking about the day-to-day bread and butter issues that are affecting average Australians. Now, I don't say that with any sense of glee because I've got no issue with the Voice. I actually think that it's got the capacity to come up with better policy ideas that are going to help stop some of the things that we are talking about, e.g. endless violence on North Terrace. You know, if you had more direct say from Indigenous people about how to fix things, I reckon it's a good thing. But having said that, the manner in which it's been sold is poor. The timing is unfortunate. And just to round it out, I saved this tweet the other day because I thought this is the demise of the yes case in tweet form. Someone called Wendy Northey on Twitter, in quite a jubilant sort of fashion, she wrote this. Quote of the day, this is from Jack Thompson, the actor. A no vote would mean that ill will, prejudice and sheer bastardry had won. Well, sorry, yes voters. If your tactic, if your way to win hearts and minds is to tell people that they're bigots if they don't vote yes, you might as well just raise the white flag, because that kind of tactic from the left it's Hillary Clinton calling people deplorables, rubs people up the wrong way, and all it does is embolden the no case, as we are now seeing on the front page of the Oz.
I felt that deserved another closing, breaking at 8 sting.
It wasn't really
That was quite good.
Repurposing other people's work at 8, not breaking at 8.
Well, that's
the first bit was.
That's all right. I'm on the panel this week, so
you can do whatever the hell you want, Lisa.
Do some zany tricks
Speak
to
French
quote
for the rest of the week if you want.
No, also in the mix this morning, we spoke earlier to our UK correspondent Vincent McAviney on the events in Russia over the weekend. If you missed it, a civil war was pretty well avoided within 24 hours after a billionaire warlord basically showed the first real cracks in Vladimir Putin's 23-year reign. We'd just like to replay a bit of Vincent. He had some excellent analysis. So here's Vincent from 6:30 this morning.
It was a pretty incredible night, I have to be honest. I was the overnight correspondent on Friday for the BBC when we started getting these reports in at about 9 p.m. local time, and then sort of worked through the night trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And in a matter of hours, we were seeing this video footage coming out and social media footage showing that, as you say, the Wagner Group managed to get themselves out of Ukraine, cross the border at multiple points with Russia, and effectively seized control of a city called Rostov-on-Don in a couple of hours without meeting much resistance from the traditional Russian military on the ground. We believe they did shoot down a number of helicopters, and it's helicopters that they accused the Wagner Group accused the Russian military of having used on them purposefully on Thursday and Friday. So you can understand why they might be quite gung-ho about shooting those down. And then, you know, within a matter of hours, saying that he was going to take this justice march to Moscow. We know, for instance, that there was real panic in Moscow. They were digging trenches on the main highway that led from this city to Moscow to try and stop tanks from rolling through. They declared they told everyone to stay inside. They declared Monday as a national holiday. They started doing emergency broadcasts on TV. So in the 23 years since Putin first took power, I think this was the biggest crisis that he's ever faced domestically, and it has really fractured now his hold on power.
In terms of what it means for Ukraine, Vincent, I noted that tragically and sickeningly overnight, the Russians resumed their attacks. I think that 5 people died in Ukraine from a missile strike. I think there's certainly been some civilian deaths in the last 24 hours, so Russia seems to be trying to send a message that they're still there, they're still fighting. But they've been so reliant on the Wagner Group in terms of mounting a lot of their operations with not great success, given what the expectations were when the war started back in February last year. So how do they maintain their current level of strength in Ukraine if they've got 25,000 soldiers led by a bloke who has made it clear he no longer supports Russia?
Well, I think this is a huge turning point in the war for Ukraine. They were watching very nervously to see what was going to happen, whether this had turned into a full coup at the weekend. And I think if you interpret it in two ways, there is now the actual forces in Ukraine, but then the psychological effects in Russia itself. So in terms of the forces in Ukraine, what we understand has happened is that Evgeny Prigozhin is now actually sort of in a form of exile in Belarus, that his forces have been subsumed into the traditional Russian army, and they were really sort of the spear point of the Russian attack in Ukraine in recent months. Now, what it's going to show is that there's going to be huge sort of problems with morale. There's going to be huge organizational issues now in the Russian army. It's very much going to be a divided fighting force without the director that managed to, get them out of the combat zone and to reinvade their own country and potentially take down a president who, everyone thinks has an iron grip, but that's clearly not the case. So whether there'll be a cohesive fighting force, in the months to come, we will see. A conscript army throughout history is never one that's that successful. And clearly the Russian military itself, and the fact that it didn't lay down any proper opposition to the Wagner Group when it put that march into Russia, it shows that the morale in the traditional Russian army is at rock bottom too. I think for Ukraine it's going to be a huge advantage tactically, therefore, on the ground. But I think it just shows the rest of the world, and NATO leaders are meeting this week in Europe to discuss the war. It shows the rest of the world that it's working. The strategy of holding together with Ukraine, of allowing to sort of the discord in Russia, the discord in the Kremlin, to sort of fester because they're completely stuck in this war, which they cannot win now effectively. It is causing problems amongst the generals. It's causing problems for Putin. And Putin now looks, dictators are very brittle creatures.
Yeah.
They might look strong, but they do crack quite quickly with a little bit of pressure, especially surprise pressure. You really see underneath their structures, if they haven't won the hearts of people because they're sort of controlling them with fear, then they'll have very little support when it comes to the crunch time.
8:20 on your Monday morning. Bit of a heavy start with the Russia civil war that we avoided over the weekend, but great reporting there from Vincent. Good news, David. The movie bowl is up next to lighten the mood.
Excelente.
You'll be drawing it out of the movie bowl.
Do we know the genre? Do we know what the topic is? That's always a surprise, isn't it?
That's the point. It's a surprise. Whatever comes out of the bowl, comes out of the bowl. Get your phone lines ready, everyone, to vote on the movie this morning, 8223 0000. We'll get to those when we come back after the break. But first, let's check traffic. Car battery, slow to start. Search RAA battery. Battery replacement only available to RAA road service holders. T's and C's apply.
A couple of crashes to look out for, one at Panorama on Goodwood Road just past Springbank Road, another at Kingsford on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road, a few burst water mains about too, one at Davern Park on Wommer Road at Hydesbury Road, Salisbury South on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road, and at Urbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Check your speed, Clayson Road, Salisbury East. Own a 4x4? Bob Jane T-Marts have a great deal till June 30. Up to $150 instant cashback on select BFG tyres. Order online or call now. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie and Timmy G on the 5AA Sports Show.
Protecting the head at all costs. What's the difference between your opponent knocking you out or your teammate? Now, Geelong's Gary Rowan ran to his teammate, Jeremy Cameron, and knocked him absolutely clean out. Plays into what I've been saying for years. Accidents happen on a footy field and the game needs to cater for it.
Rowie and Timmy G.
Now, he won't get cited, nor should he.
No, what it's done is proven your point.
Yeah.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Hey, Dad! The posties are back.
Oh, yeah? How many this time?
1, 2, 3. About 8. They're staring at our driveway. Should I let the dog out?
Nah, let them look a little longer.
Now they're taking selfies with it.
Adelaide Exposed Concrete. best on ground all year round.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. For fixed price services, call Precise.
For a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
We all know that ACIT Couriers are a great SA family business. The whole family is involved. They support local communities, the whole lot. But they're also a business doing great things for your business.
They certainly are, Lise. ACIT Couriers pride themselves on being able to deliver for your business in a safe and timely manner. Their drivers undergo intensive training and the ACIT compliance team regularly audit their fleet.
And with all the technology they use, satellite navigation, real-time GPS, etc., all of that, it allows the ACIT Couriers to collect your job quickly, travel on the most efficient route and make deliveries on time.
It's amazing how all their technology works. It's all in real time, so you can see where it is and how far away it is. So whatever your business needs delivered, don't risk it, ace it.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
FIVEAA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The Cherry Motor 5, state-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
It is 8:24. It is a Monday morning, which means I get to play my own introduction. It is time for the Movie Bowl.
Oh, yes.
Which, David, for the first time you're in charge of today. Jump on the Foodland Supermarkets Facebook and YouTube live stream to see what David pulls out of the Movie Bowl.
Normally that Goodings control freak doesn't let me do these things.
Yeah,
He's
that's right.
Mr. Polished over there with his Peter Shearer fancy pants on.
Yeah,
and his TV haircut.
No, today you are in charge for the Lucy Movie Bowl. Movies are better at Wallace Cinemas, SA's home of big screen magic and entertainment. Visit wallace.com.au.
Maybe I should ask Channel 7 if I can read the news tonight, given Will's off.
Well, see what Rosanna thinks of that.
Given you're filling in for Will, maybe you should go over there and read the news, Lisa.
Depends. Can I keep my bed hair and no makeup stance, or is that not allowed on TV?
Oh, absolutely you can. Bit of cinema verite, as they call it in French.
All
now,
right.
here we go. Battle of the Original Superheroes. Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, so 1978 Superman, starring Christopher Reeve, the late Christopher Reeve.
Yep.
And 1989 Batman, starring Michael Keaton, who's very much still with us.
Well, we've got Superman versus Batman, the
Superman
originals.
versus Batman.
Call in now to have your say, 8223 0000. What am I watching tonight?
I can remember seeing the 1978 Superman at the movies. From memory, that's the one. I reckon it set a record. I think that Marlon Brando is in it, and I think it was the first time an actor was paid $1 million to be in a film, and he's in it for about 4 minutes. And the 89 Batman, I don't think I've seen that. Michael Keaton.
Well, I haven't seen either, obviously, but...
You certainly didn't see it at the movies in 1978. You were about 20 years away from being born then, weren't you?
I was 94, baby. Thank you.
Okay, 94.
Let's take some votes, shall we? Craig in Salisbury East, good morning.
It's got to be Batman, Liz. You've got to see Batman.
Batman, thank you, Craig. Are you a fan, Craig?
Hey?
Are you a big fan or just like a mediocre fan?
No, big fan. Big fan. Seen them all. They're good.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. Let's keep it going. Dave, I hope you're keeping tally because maths
is
neither of our strong suits. But
right. I always write it down.
You might as well do it today. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. Look, when I rang through, when I said to Sam it has to be Batman, as Batman and Aquaman are my favourite superheroes, he said I was wrong. So that's a bit offensive. But,
he was always getting into arguments with people.
He's the best superhero.
Batman, another one. Thank you, Scott. Morning to you, Sue.
Morning. Superman by a mile, one of my favourite films ever, and I adore Christopher Reeve in it. So he's been my superhero since I was a little girl, and I love Superman.
Okay.
Sam's cheering along with you there, Sue, in the booth. Strong argument for Superman. Thank you, Sue. Let's go to Lindy. Good morning.
Good morning. Superman, he's gorgeous, he's a spunk, he loves his little red undies.
Thank you, Lindy. Another strong argument for Superman, albeit for different reasons. Debbie in South Plimpton, good morning.
Morning, Lucy.
Debbie. Nice to hear you on the radio.
Thank you, Debbie. What film are you picking today?
Look, I'm going to go the original Superman because you need to see him carrying Lois Lane and her saying, "If no one's got you, who's got me?" Or whatever the line was.
Thank you, Debbie.
So it's 3-2.
Debbie can always quote, I love this.
It's like yesterday's football match. Batman was way in front. Superman's had a massive third quarter.
Yeah, let's chat with Pat. Morning to you, Pat.
Good morning. Superman by an absolute mile.
Up and away.
Superman. Thank you, Pat. I think
reckon
that's really
it.
propelled
I
us
think
into the lead.
Superman has got it.
Is that 4-2?
4-2 to Superman.
Superman
there you go.
it is.
So what's the plan, Les? You watch it, the Savo tonight?
Yep.
Some days have come in and you've been watching like the final scenes of, whatever movie we've tasked you with before the show.
No, I'll be watching it, given this wintry weather, perfect movie watching to sit inside with my devil-teething puppy at the moment and watch Superman.
Well, it's good afternoon
Superman
for being inside watching a movie, and it's a good movie to watch.
Hear my review tomorrow morning on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up after the 8:30 news with Kendall, we're chatting with Vincent Tarzia about school crossings. More after this.
Rediscover the joy of driving with Honda's latest mid-sized SUV, the stunning Honda ZR-V. Available now from Formula Honda, Modbury or Glen Osmond. Striking and sporty on the outside, sophisticated and refined on the inside. The Honda ZR-V is comfortably spacious and practical, and packed with intuitive tech, making every drive a dream. The all-new Honda ZR-V at Formula Honda. Test drive today from our 2 locations, Modbury or Glen Osmond.
You can always expect the very best from designer appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, which means right now when you come in store and mention this ad, you'll get half-price installs on dishwashers, washing machines and dryers. Plus, you'll receive a 6-month supply of premium cleaning products by Power of 4. Now till the end of June, just mention this ad. T's and C's apply. Head to the home of Mr. Dishwasher and discover designer appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, Paynham Road, St Peters.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A shower or two and 16 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettick.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
It's been another sleepless night for residents across 2 towns. More from Abby Smith.
Not if, but when. That's the worry for some property owners at Hope Forest with the dam threatening to fail. The SES has issued a watch and act message for the dam, with owners told they may need to evacuate. A separate watch and act has also been issued for a dam at Basket Range. Police have cordoned off a sinkhole in Mount Gambier's city centre after heavy rain too. The Bureau of Meteorology says we can expect more rain this week, but they're only predicting between 1 to 3 millimetres daily.
A vacant house went up in flames at Fitzroy last night. The fire on Martin Avenue has left a damaged bill of around $300,000. Fire cause investigators believe it was deliberately lit. All sides of politics are remembering former Labor leader Simon Crean. The 74-year-old has died suddenly while hiking in Germany. Nationals MP Barnaby Joyce has told Seven he was one of the greats.
He was so humble and just a decent guy, and to hear that he is one of those things last night when poor old Simon passed away, everybody, even on my side, they were texting each other saying, hell, did you hear about Simon? Because a lot of other people, probably not as much, but he's a really decent guy.
The Prime Minister's personal popularity has taken a hit as voters reject The Voice. Michael Packey has details.
The latest news poll shows support for an Indigenous voice to Parliament continues to slide, with 43% in favour of the measure and 47% against. The survey also shows 4 states reject the introduction of the advisory body, with backing limited to New South Wales and Victoria. The poll is another sign the referendum slated for later this year is in trouble. Anthony Albanese has invested an enormous amount of political capital in The Voice, but as a result, the PM's personal approval rating has taken a solid hit, diving 10 points to 42%.
The US Coast Guard isn't ruling out criminal charges over the implosion of the Titan sub. An investigation of the highest level has been launched into the tragedy, which claimed the lives of 5 men. Chief Investigator Captain Jason Neubauer says salvaging the wreckage and collecting evidence are key priorities.
The MBI, however, is also responsible for accountability aspects, and it can make recommendations to the proper authorities to pursue civil or criminal sanctions as necessary. However, any subsequent enforcement activities would be pursued under a separate investigation.
Elton John has performed the last concert of his world tour at the Glastonbury Music Festival. And Kate Blanchett also made a surprise appearance, the Aussie actress dancing on stage with US pop duo Sparks for their song The Girl's Crying in Her Latte. She also appeared in the video clip for the track. Now turning to FIVEAA Sport.
Get 10-year warranty and 10 years capped price servicing on the new Mitsubishi Outlander at Agostino Mitsubishi.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide's Ben Keys could be fined for his part in a melee which broke out during Collingwood's 2-point win over the Crows at the MCG. Keys ripping Mason Cox's glasses off after the Pies forward booted a crucial late goal. Pies coach Craig McRae says Cox is in great form.
He's having a great year, isn't he? He's significant in terms of the crowd. Kicking his goals, he's got a presence, he's playing with great spunk. We're wrapped how he's going.
To cricket now, Ashley Gardner's put Australia in the box seat in the Women's Ashes Test with 3 late wickets on day 4 at Trent Bridge. England needs another 152 runs with just 5 wickets in hand. Aussie opener Beth Mooney, who made 85, says the final 90 minutes of the day swung the game in their favour.
The game sort of evenly poised at that point, and pretty tough conditions once that ball got a bit soft, so I thought our bowlers really responded well to that, and obviously Ash and T-Mac settled into their work and got the rewards for it.
To golf, American Keegan Bradley has taken out the Travellers Insurance Championship by 3 shots ahead of Brian Harman and Zach Blair, while Scotty Scheffler and Patrick Cantlay finished a shot further back. Min Woo Lee was again the best of the Aussies, finishing in a tie for 9th, 6 shots back. And Chelsea defender Khalidou Koulibaly is the latest player to join the riches of Saudi Arabia, joining Al Hilal. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
Look out for a crash at Panorama on Goodwood Road just past Springbank Road, another at Kingsford on the Sturt Highway at Kemp Road, burst water mains about this morning at Salisbury South on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road, another at Davern Park on Womma Road at Hydesbury Road, and another at Urbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. Check your speed, Saints Road, Salisbury Park. Want to get tax done at warp speed? Get MYOB for free to help you stay on top of the books and compliant during tax time. Get started with a free MYOB 30-day trial. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
See any issue firsthand with AutoCam. Real-time video, direct to you from your Automasters technician.
A shower or two and 16, the same tomorrow, 15. Showers on Wednesday, also 15. Then a shower or two for Thursday, down to 14. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on FIVEAA.
Over 60,000 Adelaide homes have said yes to saving money on their energy bills with Yes, Your Energy Saving Solutions. What's keeping you? Your Energy Saving Solutions can connect you with the SA government initiative called REPS. To save money on heating this winter, Yes is offering eligible households a 2.6 kilowatt Rinnai system for only $699. For T's and C's on this unbeatable offer from Your Energy Saving Solutions, go to yes.net.au. That's yes.net.au.
Now, Luce, this is hard to believe. I know Will struggles with it. I'm sure you will too. But bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens, they might not be everybody's cup of tea.
If you're not fussed by sticky drawers, if you're not driven mad by looking at something that doesn't quite line up, if you don't appreciate millimetre-perfect craftsmanship and service of the highest standards, then I guess bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens might not be for you.
However, if those things are important and you want to live with a kitchen and bathroom that you'll adore for many years to come, then you have to speak with Coxie and his incredible team at bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens.
And remember, it is not just about the amazing result, it's how you get there that really sets bi-urban bathrooms and kitchens apart from everyone else. biurban.com.au, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
FIVEAA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to FIVEAA on Facebook or YouTube.
FIVEAA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
Test drive the Cherry Emoda 5 at Cherry Glen Osmond from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Go Cherry.
8:37 on this Monday morning. Coming up this half hour, we've got the Shadow Minister, Can't get my words out. I'm just...
Shadow Minister for Road Safety.
That's right.
That was coming out fine.
Sorry. Vincent Tarsi is coming up very shortly. It was a very poor introduction for this half hour.
Not at
Also,
all.
we've got tickets for you and 3 friends to head along to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Festival.
Ooh.
That is on July 14th to 16th at Adelaide Showground. We'll let you know how you can win them shortly, but we might as well delve into the interview with Vincent Tarsier, the member for Hartley. Apologies for my poor introduction. He is our Shadow Minister for Road Safety. Good morning, Vincent Tarsier.
Good morning, David, Lucy, and your listeners.
I can't believe, Vincent, that it's 3 months since that shocking crash outside Marriotteville High. Obviously, it's the subject of a court case that is only just starting to take shape, so we reserve any commentary around what actually happened. But 2 students very seriously injured. Now, I would have thought, given the community is demanding the installation of a red light camera outside Marriotteville High, that would have been one of the easiest and most obvious solutions that the state government could have embraced.
I absolutely agree, David. There's been real concern by the school community. I was out there yesterday with a local member, Jack Batty, and people are really upset and angry. Obviously, it was a really serious incident, still before the court, as you pointed out. But not only that, we've also seen that there is actually a school crossing program in the budget, and the delivery of that has actually been delayed a year. So it's actually been delayed to June 24. It's a $4.7 million program, and our fear is not only will this crossing be ignored, but also other crossings that need to be upgraded across the state as well.
Well, I mentioned last week when I was driving home after the show the other morning, I was heading north along King William Street and noticed that there was a police car outside the Magistrates Court blocking traffic into Angus Street. And obviously the reason for that road closure was that terrible crash outside St Aloysius. Given the frequency with which these things are happening, and also too, like some of the shocking statistics that pop up involving drug and alcohol driving at school pickups and drop-offs, there clearly is a need for more to be done around the school pickup and drop-off zones, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, we've also had the worst start to the year in terms of road toll in some 20 years. It's been absolutely appalling. We've actually called, David, for an order of all school crossings across the state. And like you pointed out, there was another serious incident outside St Aloysius only last Thursday morning as well.
Has there been any explanation as to why this $4.7 million program has been put on ice until June 2024?
Not at the moment, Dave, but obviously we're back in Parliament this week, and we've also got the estimates process as well, and we'll be making sure that we ask some tough questions, because I think people are sick and tired of these delays, and for us it's all about priorities. The government's got to get on with the job. We know that, unfortunately, some are taking far too much risk when it comes to these crossings, and unfortunately too many young people are being hit.
We'd love to hear from members of the Marriotteville High School community about their concerns, because obviously this was a terrible incident back in March, and one which shocked everybody. Vincent Tarsier, thank you for joining us this morning. John Whelan, the CEO of the Department of Infrastructure and Transport, has called in. John, thanks for your time. Is there a delay the way the opposition is stating that there's been a delay?
Yeah, good morning to all your listeners. I think it's a little bit unfair to say there's a delay. We're certainly progressing with the works at our school crossings. This was a program announced back in the 21-22 budget. None of those works were scoped. We worked very hard. Majority of the crossing upgrades we finished September this year, with a couple of the more difficult ones where there's either land acquisition that need to be progressed or still working with councils, because some of these involve councils, these projects being delivered. For example, Blair Primary is being delivered by Mitcham Council, or Glossop High Schools, we're waiting for a response from Berry Barmera. So, no, these works are progressing well.
But are they progressing according to the original timeline?
Well, originally this timeline was set based on no scoping of work. So it's really important for your listeners to understand there was an announcement of these school programs. They weren't scoped. There was no community consultation done, no consultation with schools. We've progressed those. The majority will be completed September this year.
How hard is it to get a red light camera installed outside Marriotteville High?
The issue around with cameras is very important now. What we're doing with that crossing is probably hoping within the next week we'll be installing advanced warning signs. And then there's another range of works that we need to look at, like we're going to wrap the poles with a better visual amenity, plus also then we're going to do a bigger backing board to the signals as well, so it highlights that. But what we have done, and we've committed to Minister Sockarch, is we're doing a review of crossings along that road. As you could appreciate, there's a few schools in that area, and then that's a matter then for us to make an assessment of where best to place that investment for red light cameras.
But if the community's saying, look, I mean, 2 kids could very easily have died that day. If the community's saying we want a red light camera, why don't you just give them one?
It's a shocking thing, that event, and certainly goes out to all those people affected. What we do need to do is investigate the options of where the red light cameras can be installed at each location. So we're working very closely with the school. We met with the school and principals only last week, and we'll meet with them again. Our first step is to get these signs in this week coming, so we can put better visual highlight that there's lights there, and there's some other things that we need to highlight, because people are saying we need to investigate those works and then come back to the schools whether the option of that's a decision for SAPO and government around a red light camera installation.
John Whelan, the CEO of the Department of Infrastructure and Transport there. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Well, they should get onto it as a matter of urgency, I reckon. And it feels to me like if they announced all these things with great fanfare, yes, we're going to be spending $4.7 million over the next year, but the projects weren't scoped, to use that bureaucratic term, i.e. they hadn't actually worked out how long they'd take and how they'd work. It sounds like one of those things you see in a budget lock-up press release, and then when reality kicks in, it's actually going to take a hell of a lot longer. But anyway.
Just something to rehash. Vincent Tarzi mentioned our horror start to this year on the road. Fatalities this time last year, 38. Fatalities this time now, 59.
Unbelievable.
21 more deaths than this time last year. Shocking. A small mercy we can take. There's only been 1 fatality on our roads in June so far this year. There were 5 in June last year. God help us if it's a child or a school student or a parent of a child or anyone at all. But for those to happen in our school zones is just awful. And you're right. Thankfully, that tragedy, or could have been a tragedy at Marrickville High that day. Thankfully, it wasn't. Yeah,
well, I mean, for the families involved, it still has that quality, doesn't it? And for the kids who are friends with these other kids as well, and everyone, because, you know, stuff like this happens in a school and it's got a huge ripple effect in these small communities.
Yvonne on the Duttons text line says the red light camera should have been done ASAP. It's ludicrous. Someone else says, when the circumstances of the Marrickville incident are considered, how exactly does a red light camera help?
Well, it makes people slow down. I mean, there's been one near our area on Goodwood Road at Goodwood Primary School, and since then, people drive a hell of a lot slower. Most people realise, because there's a big sign saying red light camera ahead, makes you slow down. Pretty obvious, I would have thought.
Continuing with our car road news this morning, let's check Fuel Watch, see where the cheapest fuel is in an instant with the free FIVEAA app. Download it today. Petrol is quite expensive at the moment, but a few cheaper places at the Liberty on Morfett Road in Camden Park, $1.77. Same again at the Mobile X Convenience in Shadow Park on Commercial Road. If you are in the northern suburbs, Blair Athol, Liberty on Main North Road is $1.83. And if you're up in the hills, the United Servo on the Old Princess Highway is $1.79. If you're looking for some diesel this morning, again in Blair Athol, it is cheap at the United Servo on Prospect Road, $1.67. Let's get to traffic. Afterwards, we'll take some of your calls and the best of behind closed doors. But for your drive in this morning, car battery slow to start. Search RAA battery. Battery replacement only available to RAA road service holders. T's and C's apply.
In Ashton, Lobethal Road is closed between Stoneyrise Road and Basket Range Road due to rising water levels. Take Green Hill Road instead. A few burst water mains about this morning, including Davern Park on Wammer Road near Hydesbury Road, Salisbury South on Kings Road near Cross Keys Road, and Erbray on Glen Osmond Road at the bottom of the freeway. What's for dinner? How about a Porto's whole chicken feed? Whole flame grilled chicken, 2 pita bread, 2 dipping sauces and choice of share side. Just $27.95 at a Porto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on FIVEAA.
Adelaide Hills communities bracing in case of dam failure. A recent report finding hundreds of Hills dams pose a threat to people and property. And the Russian coup is over, but is it the beginning of the end for Putin? Those stories and more, plus your calls. I'm Matthew Pantelis. Join me on 5AA Mornings from 9.
Well, by now, everyone knows about Corby Continence products.
Course. Well, word was bound to get out.
Leaks?
Not a chance. Corby has scientifically designed leak guards.
Ooh, effective?
Well, had the US Army used them,
Yeah?
we never would have heard of the Ecuadorian embassy.
That's some protection.
And if you're on a home care package or an NDIS participant, Cormy will give you a free trial pack worth up to $100.
Oh.
Just go to cormy.com.au.
Some builders think a sloping block has limitations. When Beechwood Homes look at a sloping block, they think, the possibilities. Beechwood Homes know how to make the most of a sloping block. In fact, they specialise in them. Beechwood will design a home that works with the land you have, taking full advantage of every square metre. So if you're looking at a sloping block, go for it. Beechwood has your back. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
Well, we all know the economy is tough and businesses are facing plenty of challenges. Everywhere you look, forecasts are down, budgets are up, and tomorrow across Adelaide, some businesses won't even have milk in the staff kitchen.
That's right. That's where Adelaide Milk Service comes in. Now more than ever, employees need the relief and reassurance that a cuppa can provide. And Adelaide Milk Service, it's more than a service, it's a necessity.
And we know that all too well, Dave. There are some providers out there, but they might just dump and run. However, Adelaide Milk Service will come to your workplace and personally stock and sort your milk. Their list of happy clients includes small retail shops right through to large government departments.
So avoid office disasters and get your office milk, dairy and fruit delivered free with Adelaide Milk Service. Check out their website, adelaidemilkservice.com.au.
Are you feeling stuck?
Yeah.
At Maxima, we know a career can be harder to change than your car lane during peak hour. And the NDIS can feel like a 5-lane freeway has come to a standstill. Maxima is a not-for-profit with over 35 years' experience helping Australians change where they work and how they're living for the better. Speak to the team at Maxima and start to reimagine your future today. Call 1300 Maxima now.
I will. Thanks.
5AA Breakfast with David and Lucy.
The Cherry Motor 5. State-of-the-art driving from 33k drive away with immediate delivery. Visit Cherry Glen Osmond.
8:50 on your Monday morning. Coming up before the end of the show, best of Behind Closed Doors. Blakey taking a well-earned 2 weeks holiday, of course, as is Will. He'll be off for the rest of this week and next week. So, David, we're in the chairs together.
We are.
This week. Got a few texts coming in this morning.
One here about Maryville High saying, David and Lucy, re-red light cameras. There should be an overpass there in use as there is for Pulteney Grammar on South Terrace. Keep warm, Lucy. Good luck keeping warm today. Crikey, it's very icy in here, isn't it? I've got my snow boots on.
Snow boots on. I've got my puffer jacket at the ready. I've got my quarter zip fleece lined. Sam and I are both wearing quarter zips. It's like the quarter zip crew this morning.
You can see why so many of our listeners disappear in winter. Like we've had text this morning from listeners in Darwin. We frequently get texts from listeners in Cairns. Ian, the tow truck driver, mate of mine, who gave me a tow once when my van blew up on the way to Aldinga. He texted me the other day. He's moved to Cairns for 8 months, and he sent me an amazing video. He's out there in the shorts and the singlet and the work boots, still driving trucks, but now he's tipping fertiliser onto sugarcane on that amazing road between Cairns and Port Douglas.
Oh.
Anyone who's done that drive, what's it called? The Captain Cook Freeway? It's unbelievable, that road.
Half your luck if you're up in Cairns at the moment. Raylene from Paraka has given us a call. Good morning, Raylene.
Good morning. I was going to tell you about the time I met John Howard and Simon Crean at Government House. This was before, it had been announced that our troops were going to Iraq, and John Howard asked me about our family member, and I said it was my brother, and he said, what area of the military does he serve in? And I said, the SAS. He visibly reacted and just said, oh golly. I sort of took it from that the SAS were already there. I spoke to Simon Crean about it a bit later and said, what's going on? And he said, I don't know. Nobody's telling me anything. And that's from the leader of the opposition. But, of course, after that we discovered not only had the SAS been in Iraq long before it was announced that we were going there, they'd been in Afghanistan as well. So
he was a lovely guy. And I just saw before, Raylene, that John Howard, only a few minutes ago, put out a tribute to him. And you said that he was one of the giants of the Labor movement and always a great man to deal with. So thanks for sharing your memories.
Thanks for the call, Raylene. You know what, Raylene? Thank you for contributing this morning. We are going to send you to the Adelaide Beer and Barbecue Fest, something to warm you up this winter. Celebrate beers, barbecue and music. I'm sure Raylene will at least like one of those three. July 14th to 16th at Adelaide Showground. Get your tickets now from beerandbarbecuefest.com.au or all this week on 5AA Brekkie. We are giving them away. Now, I know Blakey's on holiday, but should we do a best of behind closed doors?
Why not?
Thankfully, I don't think it's us who's in the spotlight this morning.
We get to pick him when he's away.
I know, that's right. Sam's in charge today. He's very excited.
Excellent.
Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64. The best of behind closed doors.
And when we get behind closed...
SA's greatest rivalry on radio, the 5AA Sports Show with Rowie and Timmy G.
Yeah, here we are to talk some sport. Not a bad idea either to talk some sport on a sports show. Stephen, how are you, my son?
Yeah, pretty good, Timmy G.
The Allan Border Medal Awards night last night. Steve Smith, the ultimate winner for the fourth time. Just amazing that he's able to do that. What was that, Rowie?
I just said while you're talking, I'll say things underneath.
Well, what's the point of doing that if no one can understand what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I don't analytic things that closely, Timmy G.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so Steve Smith, the winner of the Allan Border Medal, and the others that have done that, of course, Ricky Potting, Michael Clark.
And, of course, the AFL season is creeping up, Timmy G.
That's right, Roy. But before that, we have the match simulation games.
Yeah, that's right. We've got the Crows and Port shooting over to Perth. The Crows take on FIVEAA and Port take on the Eagles.
Yeah, is it going to be the same format where they have 6 quarters?
Yeah, that's right. They play 6 25-minute quarters.
It's funny, isn't it, how us footballers refer to any length of playing period as a quarter, isn't it?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, obviously, if you're playing 6 periods of 25 minutes each, they're not a quarter of anything.
Well, yeah, what they play...
In that situation, each one's not a quarter, it's a sixth.
No, at the end of each... What?
6 multiplied by 25 is 150, so if they were playing quarters, each quarter would be 37.5 minutes long.
That's too long for a quarter.
Well, actually, it's the exact right length for a quarter if the game goes for 150 minutes.
But it's too long!
Well, of course it is, so that's why they're playing for 25 minutes.
Yeah, 6 25-minute quarters.
Yeah, but they're not playing 6 quarters, they're playing 6 sixths.
Oh.
Jeez, that's hard to say.
Hard to say, hard to talk about, and bloody impossible to understand.
Yeah, like us, they also can't do maths sometimes on that show. Oh, it is Rowie and Treaders all this week on the Drive Show from 4 till 6. That it was best of behind closed doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions on 13 13 64. Hey, we got a tweet. Local radio station at 5AA Breakfast. Host Lucy is only allowed to watch one movie. What say you, fellow DC geeks? Superman from 1978 or Batman from 1989? Thank you, Aaron, who's tweeted us.
Well, it's Superman.
I'm not usually a habitual DC Marvel superhero watcher.
No, me neither.
I'm kind of pumped about it. Superman from 1978, of course, won out. You'll hear my review tomorrow. Got another call here on the line we can squeeze in just before we wrap up. Bill in Lower Mitcham's called in. Morning, Bill.
Yeah, hey, Lucy. Hey, Pembo. Simon Creed, nice man, 1987, the number 1 ticket holder for the North Melbourne Football Club at the time. West Coast Eagles just came in. I was working for the airline in Perth as a major sponsor. We had a little box. And I had a guy that was the secretary of the Transport Workers Union, and he rang me up and said, look, can we fit Simon Creed into the box because he's over? And it was just a little humble me as a sales rep. I go, yeah, sure, why not? So Simon Creed comes along, and my boss comes down to the box to see who I'm, having the box, hoping that it's not all my old mates. And he sees Simon Creed. So then he rushes upstairs. The state manager of Australian Airlines, the tie runs down, sees Simon Creed, and then next thing you know, James Strong, who was the CEO of Australian Airlines, happened to be in Perth at the time, and he comes down to see Simon Crean. So on the Monday morning, I got to please explain of how could little humble you get Simon Crean into the box, and I just smiled and said, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, mate, well done. That's good. Real feather in your cap.
Thank you for the
Poor
call.
old Simon Crean, 1998 wouldn't have been his favourite year, given what happened in the granny that year.
No. Thank you for the call, Bill. In Lower Mitcham there. You know what, Bill? We'll give you a Barbecue Adelaide Weber Store $100 voucher. You can jump into either of the stores at Jeps, Cross or Myland and go and see Barnsey and prepare to get lit.
Keep those calls coming in. You never know what you'll win.
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent barbecue-related good times today.
We have barbecue theme
That
this
festival
week.
is so much fun.
Yeah.
And you buy your plate. It comes on one of those nice old sort of 1950s style melamine sort of enamel dishes. They're really good for you get to keep it. So when you leave, because it's part of your ticket, you get to keep it. It's good for making scallop potato and taking meat off the barbie, doing marinades in. I used one last night.
It's a good festival when you can take useful stuff away.
Oh, yeah.
Last little text here from Mick in Townsville. Bloody freezing here today in Townsville, Queensland. This is currently 23, heading for 38.
23.
Thanks, Mick. Going to be a top of 15 here today in Adelaide, 15 or 16, depending where you are in the metro area, followed by 15 all week. David and I are in the chairs for the rest of the week. Matthew Pantelis is up next, but we will see you tomorrow morning from 6 a.m.
Whether a hobby or a full-blown dairy and livestock farm, they all have one thing in common: the need for good quality steel to keep